Okay, I think we are live.
Okay, I think it's happening. Great, so we'll call this meeting to order. It's 7:04. This is the meeting of Commissioners of Poolsville. It is April 5th, 2021. And Jeff, would you like to lead us in the pledge? I see you have a different flag there today.
I would, sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the
United
States of America
and to the
to the
republic
republic for which it
stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty
and justice for all.
for all.
For all.
Thank you.
Thank you. I actually thought it was like a virtual flag. I didn't realize you were holding it. Very nice.
I have it on my desk here. Yeah.
So we'll just go right into commissioner and committee reports. I don't really have a whole lot to report. In terms of events, we still haven't been planning any town events. I think Kathy Bupp, our events coordinator, will probably be starting to coordinate meetings again soon, at least for us to start begin talking about beginnings of something soon. There was another successful farmers market the last couple of weeks, which has been great. And I understand there's some new businesses coming in town, which has been wonderful. I also just wanted to say that today is the beginning of the Germantown COVID mass vaccination site. And I think a lot of people are aware now that there's a site at CVS, as there is all over Maryland. And then Dr. Dugarella and Dr. Kate Kinsey's office is also doing shots there. So it's starting to feel like there's a light at the end of the tunnel in terms of all that, which is great.
May I add two cents to that? If you're coming to the Germantown mass vaccination site, I am now a COVID vaccinator. So I have through Montgomery County Fire Rescue Services and also through the Maryland Institute for Emergency Medical Services. So I took the training on top of the EMT training. So now I am a COVID vaccinator. I've worked at the Germantown location several times already. And when I was there on Friday, we did over 1,000 vaccinations. And the intention is to ramp that up significantly to several more thousand. I'm not entirely sure what the ramping schedule is, but we're really staffing up. So if you have an appointment and you're coming to the Germantown location, you might end up at my vaccination table. Thanks, Gary.
Very good. Excellent. Well, that's really all I have to report. Martin, did you want to go ahead next?
Planning Commission meets later this month. We didn't meet last month, so I don't really have anything to add.
Okay. Oh, I also wanted to add that our Economic Development Committee is meeting on the 12th. That's our next meeting. And Ed.
I'm gonna get that shirt that says "I'm mute." And so I'll let Jim take care of fair access, but I'll just say that we've all been working together just to put together a budget proposal. Everyone's been working together for fair access. But with Sustainable Poolsville, it's just at our last meeting, we had talked about just wanting to be involved. And I've said this last time, but being involved when it comes to the master planning, to members from the Sustainable Poolsville would like to be involved in that piece. The other piece that's outstanding is that an outstanding issue we have to take care of. We have the vacancy. We have a person who's interested in the vacancy, but we just have to go through that process for the person to be interviewed and be put on that committee one way or the other. I mean, voted or not. Other than that, we'll meet again later this month. That's it for us.
So maybe Wade or Jay, you could maybe let Bobby know that we need to add that to one of our next meetings. Because I think we postponed that from like 2 meetings ago. So that does need to happen.
Okay.
Thanks.
All right, thank you.
And Jim.
Okay, let me know if I'm coming up through garbled, you guys. I'm on back roads right now. What it comes down to is the Fair Access Committee meets this Thursday coming up. We've got a bunch of stuff on our agenda, but the biggies are some of the stuff that I've just recently sent everybody. One is Link's draft testimony in front of the county council. So you'll see that coming up here in a little bit. We also have Jane Learman tonight testifying as well, talking about budget concerns. So we've got 2 of our big hitters in there doing their job and providing testimony to hopefully, the biggie is not only just to maintain the budget for the new school, but for also for all purposes to get that extra, what amounts to 10% needed to turn that gym on its side and turn it into a full-size gym that Montgomery County can be proud of versus the current gym that they have proposed, which is our current main gym. Everybody knows this is a really big deal. This is the push of fair access from right this second. Secondary push is wellness. So we've been exploring both our history in terms of wellness as far as what's going to happen next. It doesn't look like they're going to give us anything that's going to be reasonable in terms of us them putting a building on the ground for us. So we've got a number of things that we're working on, a lot of different angles, a lot of different funding angles that we're working on. But there is a possibility that we will be coming back.
We're losing you a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe okay. Still there? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Now we can.
Okay. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I'm in the backwoods. We have the possibility of I'm pushing for us to create we can do it, and also show the county that there is a need.
Sorry.
What's that?
You're breaking up quite a lot.
Okay, why don't you guys go ahead and I'll get to a more stable place. I'll come back.
All right, go ahead, Jeff.
Well, my report's going to be short because last month I said that our meeting was going to be the following day. And it turned out our March meeting was postponed until April. So our meeting was moved to tomorrow. So I don't have anything to report on the Parks and Recreations and Streets Committee.
Okay, great. So now we can we'll move on to approval of minutes. These are the minutes from our last meeting, March 15th, 2021. Everyone read them over, and does anyone have any comments, questions, issues with them?
Looks good. I make a motion, we approve the minutes.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Jim, do you want to try to chime in again, or?
Keep going and I'll come back.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, so now we're at public comment, and we have one person who is going to join us, and I'm going to try to do this. All right, Joy, can you hear us?
Everything else set?
Joy, can you hear us?
Yes, I can. Can you
Okay,
hear?
great. Thanks for joining us. So you know the drill. You have 3 minutes to make your comments.
Just trying to get video on. I'm not sure why that's not working. Okay, well, guess you don't get to see Mo. Maybe you do.
No,
Okay.
it's
Hello there,
working.
everybody. Thank you, and hello, everybody. For a point of clarification based on the last meeting and some conversations that have taken place since the last commissioners meeting. I am hopeful that the commissioners will see fit to involve Wade and Bobby and Maggie or Kathy, if so needed and necessary, to help look at what the job description needs to say and look at the whole makeup of the town staff with respect to both the town manager and the role of Bobby as town clerk, since she has made it clear that at some point in the near future, or some point in the future, shouldn't say near future, she hasn't given a timeline, that she will be retiring. So I'm hopeful that we can really look at the makeup of our town staff with the assistance of the entire town staff, especially Wade, since he is, part of this. And to that end, I'm hopeful that, and I'd like to encourage the commissioners to have a meeting with all town staff to ask for their open input in what they think town staff management should look like and get their input. I think there's a great divide still in town staff, and their I'll say their relationships with the commissioners as a whole is still a bit tenuous. So I'm hoping that as a way of encouraging both sides to work together, that's something that could happen in the near future. Also, as a point of transparency, because this has come up as a discussion point and I've been asked about it a lot, and I know I've had this conversation with Kerry, and I recognize that there are things that you all cannot discuss, but I think it's important for residents to recognize or to understand how our former town manager's departure was handled with respect to the fact that there was an agreement that included some sort of severance. And I think for transparency, there can't be any question about this as to whether it actually happened or not, because that, again, creates this divide between staff, commissioners, and the rest of the town. And we have talked about the need for transparency, and this is one of those things. I recognize you can't discuss the specifics, but I think it's important for those who've been asking the question to get a final answer from Kerry and from the commissioners here as to whether or not a financial stipend or some final payment was made to him on his departure. And with that, I'll say thank you. And I yield my time to anybody else who may be out there tonight.
Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much, Joy. I appreciate your comments.
Okay. So we don't have any old business tonight. We do have on new business under number 6 is the post-prom request. And if it is all right with everyone else, I'd like to move straight away to that because we do have Lynn Shaber joining us to present about that. Would that be all right with everyone else if I move that up?
Sure.
Okay. Yep.
So I'll have her join us now. There she is. Hi, Lynn.
Hi, guys. Oh, sorry. I'm rainbow colored.
Wow. Hey, Lynn.
Preschoolers. Oh, sorry. My bad.
It still works, though.
How's everybody? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, go ahead, Lynn, and why don't you present the post-prom request?
Yes. So as you may or may not know, there is no prom happening this year at our high school. And so the only activities that our juniors and seniors will be allowed to have is the post-prom event, which we have arranged, the post-prom committee has arranged to have at Kaleva this year. So this is their only opportunity. The high school is having a senior unity day, which is district-wide, but nothing like a prom. So what we are asking the commissioners is for the money that you were going to generously donate to us last year for the $2,500 for busing, So we're asking for that money and also to match it this year. The way the busing is going to work, because the event is at Caleva, none of the kids will be able to drive there. They will have to park at the high school, or they'll have to be bussed in. Our magnet kids will have to be bussed in from out of town. So there'll be two, professional line buses coming in with two different pickup points, one in Gaithersburg and one in Germantown. We're still waiting on the cost for that, but they'll be dropped off at the high school, and then the Caleva buses will take them to the high school, because we have to control the number of kids that are actually on site. That way, if they're driving there, we can kind of eliminate that. So the reason I was asking for the extra money for this year is because we currently have a $10,000 shortfall to put this event on. So I have been charged with kind of coming up with that money in 6 weeks. Yes, I'm going to do it. And I was hoping that the town would be generous enough in matching their donation for possibly what they would have matched for the prom this year, to kind of help make up for some of that. And that way, all of the proceeds that money would stay at Caleva. We would spend that entirely at the Caleva site. So that would stay in our community, which would be a big bonus for helping to put the event on. So pretty short and sweet.
Hey, Lynn, you said that you had the okay. Is that from the county or from Montgomery County Public Schools?
Yeah, that's from the county. So that's Caleva actually had to put that in order for us to have the event. So they've already received that. And of course, we're happy to provide that to you guys as well. We're actually meeting with Caleva tomorrow to get a better estimate on the busing situation, how many of their buses will be able to use. But again, last year we had figured about $2,500 for those buses just to get the kids from Poolsville out to the site in Rockville. So it's probably about the same. But then, of course, we'll have the Caleva buses bringing them to, the Caleva site. So the additional money would just help to put on the event. It's basically what we're doing is a haunted forest with bonfires. We're not having any food because that costs money, and we don't want the kids hanging around to eat. So it's a really kind of a pared down event, but we wanted to give them something, being that especially the seniors really had a kind of a bum year as far as the senior high school experience. So we're hoping that Poolsville, as per usual, will kind of step up and help us out.
Wade or Jay, do either of you know where we're at with in the state or the county in terms of what numbers are allowed to gather? Are we still at the 25 people indoors and 50 people outdoors?
Yes.
Yeah, so the way we've organized it, and we're working with Caleva, is that the kids will arrive in 25 group shifts. They'll have to pre-sign up in clusters of 6 in order to go through the whole maze. And then they have to stay within a cohort of 25, and that 25 will get rotated from the bonfire to the forest, and then we're calling it a snack. It's really not food. It's just kind of chips and a drink kind of thing. Because we don't want them hanging around to eat per se, and then they get bussed back out. That's why it's so important that we have the buses so that we can get them in and out quickly in the allotted time to maintain that 25 and 50 person cohort.
That's a clever way to do it.
Short of cattle prods, yeah.
You might need that too.
Right? No, you must leave now. And for a lot of them, this will be the only time that they'll be together in such large groups. So
we're talking about teenagers, right?
That sounds well organized. Well done.
Yeah. A lot of thought has been put into this. So hopefully it'll be a success. And it's not the prom, but okay, this hasn't been a normal year.
Hey, Lynn, what are the kids saying about the idea?
They like it because there is no other alternative, period. There is no other alternative. They are trying to recreate the prom there. We asked them what kind of theme would they like. They're all like Enchanted Forest. We said, no, this is a haunted forest. There are no, they want us to put the lights up. They really do want the prom experience, but it's just not feasible. We tried to figure out how to actually hold I'm sorry, that's my dog, how to hold the dance there and then have them change, but that just became, girls in prom dresses and tuxedos, just too much. So this is, at least they get to hang out together. They're there for approximately an hour and a half. There'll be 2 kind of big blocks. Yeah, that'd be great if you could come get her. And we'll just try to rotate them the best we can. So it's an hour and a half prom instead of a 4-hour prom.
Right. So it's like a farewell experience.
Right, and it will be
give it-
juniors and seniors as opposed to the senior unity event, which is district wide, was obviously only seniors, and that will
Right.
happen on location at the high school. So this is an opportunity for those kids who may not be going to school in person to still have an event with their friends. Yeah.
Anybody else have any other questions for Lynn or?
Hey, Lynn,
Any comments?
Jim Brown here. I'm not sure if you can hear me or not. I'm just wondering how many total kids and what is the overall budget for the event that you're having? Can you give us round numbers there?
Yeah, so the overall budget is approximately $17,000. And that is to pay for the actual putting on of the event. Kaleva is staffing it, with people. We have to maintain, according to the county, we have to maintain a certain ratio of adults to kids. So that will help to go pay for some of that. It's paying for what typically would, and I can give you the breakdown. I asked them to send it over, and unfortunately I don't have it in front of me. But just the cost of putting on the Haunted Forest is approximately $12,000. So just for that experience alone, then, fire safety, there's a DJ on site to provide a little atmosphere. So it's really, if you guys, I'm sure you've all been to the Kaleva experience for the Haunted Forest, it's really to pay for that experience and then the busing on top of it. Yeah, which is.
How are you guys raising the rest of the money?
Hi.
Yeah.
So
how are you raising the rest of the money?
Yeah. So, so we do have the money left over from last year. So we have about $6,000 roughly. And the way the PTSA works, it's technically their money. So even though we raised that for the post-prom event last year, it's not earmarked exclusively for post-prom, which is just kind of the way the PTSA works. Unfortunately, because there is no prom, there is no working together with a shared event. So it's really just post-prom, whatever. So we're using the $6,000 that we had from last year. We had lots of donations as far as gifts for, prizes for the kids. So obviously we'll reuse those because that didn't get used. But, things like the busing and food and fire, we have to have a fire marshal. We have to have a police officer out there. We have to, just like they would for, the regular Kaleva event, we have to pay for those costs. So that's what that 14,000 approximate number is.
And what is the normal overall budget for the prom and the post-prom normally?
So to be honest with the prom, I don't know. The post-prom we haven't done for a number of years. Last year we were running post-prom on, because it was going to be at the high school, we were running that on at about 10,000. So we still had a couple months to go to make up that windfall. Obviously that didn't happen. And prom has a completely separate budget than post-prom.
Okay.
So we don't have any of that budget because there is no prom.
Well, we can talk about this offline, but I remember last year or 2 years ago, I think I said that my company would donate $500 to it, and I don't think anything ever happened with it. So it's still, I don't know about matching my own donation, but I still like let's just talk offline about it. Okay.
Right, yeah, we can totally do that. Yeah. I'm, however we can get these kids. And again, and we do have a grant match from the county. We have to provide, and of course I'm forgetting the name of it right now, but it's basically, the safe post-prom experience. I think it's a $3,000 grant that we have to do something with the kids online saying, okay, we don't want you drinking and driving.
Right, a program.
We do some type of program. So that still has to happen. So we did receive a grant for that, which will also go to offset the cost. But again, we're still looking at about 10,000 in order to put on the whole experience. We'll figure out how to do it, whether, we'll figure it out, but it'd be great, if you guys help us out with the busing.
Thanks for answering my question, and thanks for working so hard on this. And it is a great idea to give the kids the best possible experience, considering how terrible a year it's been for them.
Right.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Lynn, are you getting is Up County Prevention Network getting involved with this?
Sorry, yeah, that's what the grant is coming from them. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so that's that part of that grant. Yeah, and I'm thrilled because this event, us parents, we don't have to stay up all night. We're not pulling an all-nighter. We're only going to do it till about 11, 12 o'clock at night, and then we are done. So, we're condensing the event, which is great for us older parents. So, bonus all around. Yeah.
Right.
So anyway, whatever you guys were able to contribute, we're very thankful for. And, obviously it's for our seniors and juniors, and the money stays within the community. So that's a bonus all around.
So I should have asked you this before, but do we have a figure from you? A dollar figure?
Yeah, so we were asking for the
Okay.
2,500 from last year, and then to match it for what would have been used this year if you were able to donate that as well. Now,
Oh,
if
that's
you're
what
going to tell
you're-
me, Jeff, if you're like, hey, let's do the whole 10, I will not say no. I'll bake cookies, back rubs, whatever. Well, okay. Yeah, whatever you guys are willing to do, we are very, very thankful for.
Yeah.
And the PTA is pledging the 6,000. Is that right?
Yes, so they'll give us the 6,000 back, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
All
Yeah,
right,
so
well-
as soon as I have that final figure, I can absolutely send that. We're going to meet with Kaleva tomorrow to get a more precise figure now that we've been approved by the county to go ahead with this and really nail that down. So I'm happy to send that to you so you can, come up with a better, a more realistic number.
Okay.
Lynn, just out of curiosity,
Yeah.
do you know with the event at Kaleva, would that provide some job opportunities for some of our residents here at Poolsville?
So I'm not sure who's actually staffing that with Kaleva, but potentially, yes, absolutely. Those generally are local kids and local townspeople that come to. I'm assuming that it would be the same staff members that would have been there in October because they know how to run it, and they're doing this for multiple high schools. We're not the only one. So yeah, I think Quince Orchard is also using their Kaleva site for the same activity. That's actually their prom as well. So I'm sure they're being employed.
I know it's that the Kaleva employs some of our residents here, so I know it's always tough for some of our younger people to find ways to make some good old fashioned work hard money. And so, okay, well, thank you, Lynn.
Yeah. I do know that you have to be, I think it's the 16 in order to work there. So it's not like the middle schoolers can work this event, but yeah.
Yeah, but I know some high schoolers and some high school graduates.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Who are local who have worked there. Okay, well that helps me out. Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. Awesome. Well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate your consideration. Very nice to see you all. Everyone stay happy, healthy, and safe.
Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you, Lynn.
Thanks for
Bye.
joining us.
Bye-bye.
Well, would anyone like to make a motion on this?
I motion that we support the post-prom efforts for our students who attend Poolsville High School, the juniors and seniors.
This is
Wanna
Jeff.
give
I second
I
that.
motion that we provide the $10,000 to support. All right, it was 2,500 plus. Matt, was it 2,500? I'm gonna make sure I get the right amount.
She's requesting 5.
5. Okay, well, let me make sure to clarify it. Jay is taking notes here. Our motion.
But I'm sure she'll
do
take.
let's do the 5,000. I motion that we do the 5,000.
Before we proceed, and I just want to be clear. So I thought Lynn mentioned that there was 5,000 from, I know the budget's been closed out from the 2020 budget, which of course they didn't use, right? So, and I know in terms of budget land, that kind of vanishes. But I think she was inferring that if the 5,000 from last year was somehow still magically available, could it be rolled into this year?
I think
What
last
was in the
year
budget for last year was
it was
2,500.
2,500.
Or was it 2,500? Okay, I got the idea was 5,000. So I was kind of getting the impression that Lynn was kind of asking for last year's money and this year's money together. So
Yes.
25 from last year, I guess, and 5 from this year. So is that going to influence your motion, Ed?
No, I think if I heard her right, and I'm going to her request, is 2,500 from last year that they didn't get, and then 2,500 for this year, which would be a total of 5,000. So my
that was way
motion
off
would
then.
be for 5,000. But Jeff, I think I threw you off because I said 10,000 because I was thinking 5,000 for last year and 5,000 for this year.
Yeah.
But I had to put the brakes on and think about what I was saying.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's 2,500 from last year.
Yeah.
Or
2,500.
what we could
Yeah.
do is match what the PTSA is giving and call it 6. Just an idea.
I think that's a good idea. I think they have a gap to close somehow, and if we can help, I kind of think we should help. I know we got to be really careful about spending someone else's money.
So what is your motion, Ed?
Yeah, go ahead. It's on you, Ed.
Well, I'm listening, and I think Jim was just getting ready
Sorry,
to say
go ahead,
something.
Jim.
I'm okay, very, very comfortable with $5,000, only because, there's probably not a ton of kids involved. It's an expensive, great idea. I'm all in favor of it because it makes sense. So these guys have been through a heck of a terrible year, like no one's ever been through. But I think $5,000 is more than enough for something like this. They have to have some other fundraising goals. I'm going to kick in a little bit too. So whoever was thinking 6, I'll probably close some of that gap myself. So let's just leave it at 5. That's what she asked for.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Any business owners that are watching, this sounds
That's
like
right.
a good thing to sponsor.
Anybody
Sure.
wants to match me, call me and I'll match you.
There we go.
There you go.
oh, very kind.
So I guess Jim is issuing a challenge. So
That challenge has been issued up to a certain point.
So for the sake of clarity and cleanness, let's start over. I motion that we provide the post-prom committee $5,000 for the event that's been requested to fund at Caleva.
Very nice motion. Do we have a second?
Second by
second.
Jeff. Kind of a tie between Jeff and Martin there, yeah.
I saw Jeff first, so go ahead. I'll have Jeff be the second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
And
Great.
Jeff, for the challenge that Jim has issued, I know you sit on the board of the Chamber of Commerce.
Yes,
If you could so kindly talk to your colleagues over there
I most assuredly will.
and say, let's do one for the kids, and then we could talk offline. I'll pitch in something also.
I just got a message from Tom Kettler and he's already matching my $500 right
Very
now.
nice.
Ah.
Thank you, Tom. Very nice.
It's like the
There you
Jerry
go.
Lewis telethon.
Yeah.
See, we're doing your work for you, Lynn.
And so there's your 6. So well, let's
Fantastic.
keep pushing.
Very good.
Yeah. We need $500 for more businesses in Poolsville. $500 each. That's what we're looking for.
All right, so let's go back to the beginning of our new business agenda, which is the fiscal year 20 closeout.
Actually, can everybody hear me okay? So I can finish up Fair Access?
Yes.
Oh yeah, go for it.
Okay. So back to Fair Access, 3 prongs here. One is going to be to finish the high school, get our vote out of the way and get that school funded and get the additional funding needed to build the gym the way that we need to have it built. The second is to get more progress and more traction on the wellness issue. It's actually one of our most outstanding and most easily defined issues. So there are some things working right now. And I'm really not at the position right now because there's some negotiations to talk about, but there is some discussions about potentially working with Montgomery County and something I might be proposing here to the town of Poolsville to help to pitch in order to show that there is a wellness need and to basically lay it out for the county what we're looking for and why we need it. This is much like the same initiative that started the seniors group, where we funded it and we showed them that we needed it and we showed them it could be vibrant. And obviously the senior group and their senior group management ran off with it and did a great job. So this is similar to what we're talking about in terms of wellness. And then last but not least, on White's Ferry, boy, all I can tell you haven't heard anything from me out of this because it's so delicate. But there are things going on right now on both sides of the river, and just need a little bit more time. And as soon as I can fill everybody in on what we have going on, I'll let you know. But needless to say, Chuck Kuhn has really embraced the idea that the ferry needs to reopen. And he is working hard with our politicians and the Maryland politicians to get there. All the credit in the world goes to our Brown family, not the Brown family on the other side, but our Brown family for recognizing that they probably weren't going to get anywhere negotiation wise. The new guy has definitely picked up the ball. The ferry, the operation of the ferry has been purchased, period. It has been purchased. So Chuck needed to do that in order to take it to the next level. That's what he's doing. In the end, this could end up being something where easements get created on the Virginia side, on the Virginia side, through whatever methods are available, and also easements on the Virginia side in order to make sure that there's public access on both sides of the river. So that's what you have for now. I hope as soon as I hear something else, you guys, that we can announce, then I'll be putting it out there to everybody. And then last but not least, I said I want to give Link a lot of credit. Fair access, if this high school comes through, our advocacy is going to be shifting towards community help and community wellness. And Link's done a terrific job. And I'm just looking forward to the next direction he's going to take us. That's it.
All right, thank you. So now let's go back to the top of new business, which is the fiscal year 20 closeout, excuse me. I'm gonna take that away, Wade.
Okay, I got it. So how's everybody doing? So everybody received the closeout document from Bobby as well as a presentation. Typically, this would be something you would be presented in August of each year. And from now on, you should expect that from whoever is in the position. They should be presenting this to you in August, so that is part of the package that goes forward with the auditors, with Bobby's QuickBooks, and with all the journal entries and everything our accountant does for us. So it should be one package. You should have it all at that time. And this is very important as far as you have to adopt this at the end of the presentation, unless you have problems with it or questions or whatever, because this budget is amended from the original budget that was adopted. And so by our own charter, you have to adopt it, and that closes the books out on it, so you can start the whole new fiscal year. Okay. I'd like to go ahead and share my screen.
Hey, Wade.
Yes.
Now, you mentioned August, so so just to be clear, we were supposed to have this last August?
August of 2020, yes.
Oh, we're like way behind.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because that's when the audit occurs.
Okay.
I was just going to say, I think I need to share hosting capabilities with you. Is that what I need to do?
I don't know. I tried it earlier and I was able to do it. So I can try it and see if I can do it.
No, go ahead and try.
Okay. And just stop me at any time, because I get on a roll, as you find out, and I talk kind of fast. So stop me at any time you want with any questions. Nope, you're right. You have to, it was disabled by the participant screen sharing.
Carrie, can you make Wade a co-host?
Just allow it. It says
All
it's
right.
Disabled by on your end.
Try
Okay,
it
you're
now,
the
Wade.
host now.
Yeah, you're the host now, Wade.
Yost is the host. Couldn't let that go.
Yost is the host.
Yost is the host with the most. Let's roll.
Okay, let me get back up here. Let's see. Okay, so yes, the 2020 closeout. So we'll just get started with a broad overview. And I think everybody knows this, but the general fund really carries the load as far as the general operations, all capital projects, both water and sewer, all debt service, doesn't matter if it's water or sewer. And typically, if the water and wastewater fund needs a grant, it's going to offer that. Now, that whole series of the general fund operated just over $4 million this 2020. And all this that I just talked about was actually by design, and it was done in 2004 when we went out for some loans from MDE, the state revolving loans, to do some I&I work. And to get that money, you had to make sure that you could represent that your water and wastewater fund was self-sufficient. So having a resolution adopted saying this is how we're going to make sure that we are whole as far as the wastewater enterprise fund goes. So it's all firm. So it's not really a subsidy. It is a grant by design that was adopted as a resolution in 2004.
Hey, Wade.
Yes.
So MDE is the Maryland Department of Environment.
Correct.
And when I just want to be really clear about this. So my understanding that the water is not self-sufficient. So the water rates do not cover the water revenue does not cover the water expenses.
That's
And
correct. There's a little bit shy. Yes.
And the difference is made up by money from the general fund, which is basically taxpayer money.
Correct.
Okay, so that just doesn't, yeah, so the reason I asked that question was because when you mentioned that it was self-sufficient, it isn't self-sufficient in my.
No, so you're right. The goal was to be self-sufficient and raise the rates just so that they'd operate the operating expenses.
Yeah.
We've only been there maybe once in the last 17 years, but you're exactly correct. It's really not, but there's a process in place to make it so.
Now, when you say we've only been there in 17 years, what is there?
Having the user fees and any other income, which is very little, from the water and wastewater revenue itself, pay for the operating expenses.
Oh,
it is never paid for the capital aspect of it, and it never will.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Jeff.
And the biggest difference.
Go ahead, Wade.
I was going to say, most other water systems, they do a lot of debt service and pay for it. Just they have a lot of loans out, a lot of debt, and that was something the commissioners in the past said, we really don't want to do this. And this is the resolve that we came out with. Okay,
Jim, what did you want to tell me?
I was just going to say that the purpose behind this is, and this is something that way back, the game plan was always to have that we didn't mind having it coming out of the general fund because people would deduct it out of their taxes versus paid on their water bills. But I guess 4 years ago, 6 years ago, 8 years ago, we made a concentrated effort to raise our water rates to be more, to make the water process more self-sufficient. And we closed that gap. And because, it's a variable every year, we don't know how much water and wastewater we're going to process every year. So the goal is to have the rates match as close as reasonably possible, knowing that there may well be a small shortfall. And the $30,000 shortfall is probably the closest we've ever had it. So it's a good thing.
No, thanks for that explanation, because I was going along the train of thought that the water system should be self-sufficient by the rates, and maybe that's just not really the case.
No, you're right. In theory, it should be. You're exactly correct.
But the variable is we don't know. We don't know what we're going to use, and we don't know what we're going to process.
Yeah. So it's hard to attach a fixed number per gallon if you really don't know what the end result's going to be.
No, and you'll find out as we go through this. Not to bring another thing into it, but I&I in itself. What it pays for the extra gallon, the extra electricity, the pump parts, the chemicals to treat it, the dewatering the sludge difficulties that occur from it, all of it plays into it. So it's a wide variable.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Every little bit helps build the knowledge.
Absolutely.
Fill the knowledge gap. Yeah.
Okay, so in the water and wastewater fund, which typically is supposed to do the operations only, operated just over 1.3 million, and it did require over a $30,000 grant to balance the fund at the end. And overall, the FY 2020 budget closed out with a positive balance over $408,000. So it was a really good year as far as everything goes, and we'll get into some details here, and you'll see exactly why that occurred. Here's a breakdown of the general fund revenue. And of course, everybody probably knows this, but here's some percentages to see exactly how it's broken down. So property taxes and income taxes are certainly our two largest streams of revenues coming in. And then the other would be interest income, highway user fees, wireless rentals, all those things come into play also. But certainly those two right there, the income tax and property taxes, is huge.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's a little detailed look of where we were in the closeout of 2020. They closed out over $4 million. That was 268,000 and some change over what was predicted. And there's a breakdown below here that kind of shows, property taxes were up, income taxes were way up, other than over what was anticipated. Development fees, that's not really income you can count on because it's a revenue stream that comes in. But on the other side of it, the expenditure side, you have engineering fees, inspections, all those things you have to pay for on the offside of development. So it's more of a user fee, so it's in and out of the budget. But this is a breakdown to kind of see, income taxes. Poolsville is obviously doing very well as far as people's incomes. On the expenditure side, so overall we came under $113,000 under budget, and there was no one account that really stood out to say, hey, this is where the biggest savings were. It was several smaller accounts and they were all just a little bit low. Maybe it was the COVID, less things were done over the year. So you had more money come in and you had less expenditures going out. So that's why we had such a big balance at the end of the year. Here's kind of a breakdown of the general operations. Salaries certainly are the biggest, followed by the trash contract. It's nice just to see how it's broken down here, the parks and streets, engineering, legal. And it's a small 1% of it is the grant to the water and wastewater fund. So on the water side, let's take a look at the revenues, and actually they came in over what was anticipated. User fees were up this year or last year by $21,000. Interest income was up slightly, and then WSSC said people being home must have used more water, wastewater.
Could you relate that to the fact that many people were working from home instead of going away to the office?
Going into work, that's absolutely right. Yep, more people are certainly home.
Right.
Yep. But so that budget amount there doesn't include the grant also that was required to close that gap. And there was only a couple items that caused that gap needing to be closed, and we'll talk about that right now. So we were over budget as far as expenditures go in the water and wastewater. And sludge hauling. Have you guys? I guess everybody's been to the wastewater plant. You understand the sludge and the press and all that. Yeah. Well, you pay by the pound to haul it to Pennsylvania, and if you have difficulties dewatering it with the bell filter press, it's going to weigh a lot more, and you're paying by the tonnage. You'll probably see this escalate even more this year if fuel prices go up, and that's always been in the past. We take a look at that. So this could be a hit that we have next year also.
If the price of what goes up?
Fuel.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. And then repair and maintenance. They had some pumps go down and different things. Some of those probably could have been moved into the capital, which I like, and we'll pass it on to the next manager, whoever. But anything over $8,000 or $10,000 should be capitalized because you're going to go ahead and put it into a depreciation. So that should be a capital and not really a repair and maintenance. But the audit's been over and everything, so we just had to leave the numbers like they were. Here's a nice breakdown of water and wastewater. So you can see it's about 60% of the expenses go into the wastewater treatment over what it does to produce the water. And it's kind of funny that the water takes more salaries, more people, and the wastewater takes more operations and electricities and chemicals and different things like that to treat. Mm-hmm. So that's just kind of a nice graph to bring it on perspective.
If we, I hope you're somewhat familiar with the I&I project to try and get a handle or reduce the infiltration.
Yes, it's an ongoing thing.
Yeah, it's always an ongoing. Absolutely. Yeah, Ed and I learned a little bit more about that this morning.
Yes.
And anyway, so would there be any relationship if that or not if that has to happen? The infiltration has to get minimized for a bunch of reasons, but might we expect then the operations expenditures to be fewer if there's less infiltration?
Absolutely. You could take years that have less rainfall, which is a direct correlation to your I&I.
Sure.
And the same thing that comes out. But to give you an example, your electricity bills at your wastewater plant are probably about $10,000 or $11,000 a month. When you have these huge range events, they jump up to $15,000 and $16,000 a month.
Oh,
so that's just one line item.
That's the direct relationship then.
Yeah. Same with the chemicals. Chemicals are fed on the basis of the gallons coming in. So you can have more chemicals. So it's all so closely related.
I know this is completely off the topic, but maybe it's somewhat related by a thin thread. The solar panels, do those provide the energy to the wastewater treatment plant?
Yes, I'm not sure exactly. Well, theoretically they do. That and 5 other virtual meters. But so you pay for the solar panels and don't pay directly electricity bill. You pay transportation and distribution charges off of the net. But yeah, pretty much you're paying for the solar panels rather than paying for an electric bill. So at the end of the 20 years, the panels become yours, or if they're not producing as well, you could take them away. So that was part of the original agreement with the company when it was all set up. So I'm not for sure exactly where they are as far as cents per kilowatt hour and how that relates to what the commercial rate for that is now. And we were might be even head on head right now with the cost of it.
Okay, I guess that's a deeper topic for another time.
That is, yes. Okay.
Hang on, Wade, one second.
Okay.
I just want to announce that our ongoing challenge grant has just come up with another $500 from Potomac Valley Surveys. So we got our 4 lines, 500, Turning Point Real Estate, and our guys at Potomac Valley Surveys, Dave Mowat, came up with that. So more businesses, let's keep those $500 pledges, keep them coming in. Back to you, Wade.
You're just like Jerry Lewis.
Good work, Jim.
Okay, I'll take that. I'll take it. Back to you, Ed McMahon. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. So now these next few pages are just the actual expenditures that came out of the Capitol. I'm not going to go through and bore you guys with each one of the details of it. A lot of it was just small equipment, finishing up projects, the holiday lights. That's an ongoing one every year. Mini excavator, the guy's been waiting a long time for that. So I know they're probably happy about that one. 5-ton dump truck. We did purchase that. That was a replacement vehicle. Mainly small stuff that you see going on here. There's finishing up projects that were going on even as I was there. And then the 95,000 for the pavement project. So any questions on the capital expenditures there?
Well, yeah, I know. And this is maybe another slightly off the topic, but we have heard some progress in terms of street lighting, you know, and somehow the migration towards LED lighting.
Mm-hmm.
Is this, and this is not for, I guess, 2020, but, and maybe this is another topic for a long discussion, but it seems like LED lighting is kind of the way to go.
Yeah, we started that about 3-4 years ago.
Yeah.
And we did our first pilot project over in Westmont.
Yeah.
We did a couple of different streets. So this funding, there is funding in place, and you'll see that's accumulated assets that we'll talk about in a minute. There are funds being accumulating for the changing over to LED lights.
All right, but there was some negotiation with I forget who it was, Potomac Edison or something, and I don't have a clear picture on that. So if there's any opportunity,
I'm not sure either.
Yeah, well, maybe that's, like I say, a topic for another long discussion.
Well, I know that we had to go to the with Senator Feldman and myself, and we went to the board because there was no LED rate in Maryland, and we fought for the rate that we have now, which is just a couple bucks per kilowatt hour.
Yeah.
So, and we established that. Poolsville did. That was never done by any other municipality. So that's kind of a neat thing. We have a feather in our cap for that one.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, so on the water and wastewater capital expenditures, certainly well 11 coming into play. I guess that's finally online. That was drilled when I was just became town manager a long time ago. So that's been my forever project. Right, John? And so they had some major pump rebuilds and different stuff. Nothing big. The ENR refinement program still going forward. So nothing out of place, nothing to be concerned with. This is the normal CIP stuff that we have.
What is ENR?
Enhanced nutrient removal. And
it sounds very important.
So it's reducing the nitrogen completely out of the water, basically.
Yeah.
Breaking it. Yeah, and you'll probably be hearing more about it as time goes on, right, Johnny?
Yeah, because there's grants in place, John. Yeah, we're working on stuff right now. So Johnny is.
Yeah, that's to make sure that the discharge into the dry Seneca Creek meets the Department of Natural Resources requirements.
Yeah, MDE. Everybody has a hand in it. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so that's really it as far as the water and wastewater. So let's talk about restricted funds, because this is an important account that holds, and you see this is a special page in the budget just for this. So we have recreation events, and these restricted funds are restricted by different things. Some are restricted by policy, some are restricted by other agencies such as DNR, the Reforestation Fees we'll talk about. Some are restricted by law, and we'll talk about the impact fees. This one here was a policy. It's the recreation events with this
next screen
here.
Next screen. Are we on the wrong screen, or is it not? Is it?
No.
There we go.
No, we're in the right place.
Okay. So yeah, so there's only $28,000 in there. Typically she brings in, Kathy does, around $28,000, $30,000. Commissioners give her $45,000. She supplements that, makes money, every year she's been making a little bit more money. I guess at some point, we thought this could be a sustainable thing on its own, and we'll see. And it's working out fairly well. The events just keep getting bigger and bigger and greater all the time. So economic development, these funds were placed in here several years ago and really have not been touched. I know, Kira, you just said something about economic development. There are funds here that can be used if you, depending on what you guys have planned and what what you're doing. Reforestation fees, we used a bunch of these the last 2 years for the ash tree replacement program. That was approved by DNR. DNR controls how these funds are spent, and there's a time limit you have to spend them. So these were collected from Westerly Grove and maybe a couple other smaller lots, fee in lieu's that were collected because they couldn't do the forestation on site, so they paid a fee in lieu. And that's the balance of that one. Development rec fees, that's a park fee in lieu. And again, I think most of this probably came from Westerly Grove. And this is something, Jeff, you could probably take back to the Parks Board. You guys are meeting tomorrow night because you should be talking about some budget stuff and give me your guys' wish list. I'm meeting with Preston in the morning to talk about his stuff. But this is great stuff for trails, for park renovations, whatever you guys want to do. I mean, this money's sitting there for that. It has to be spent towards that type of thing.
Now, just to make sure I'm on this, can you hear me? Just to make sure I'm on the same page, so to speak. Is this line item 475 in the 2020 budget?
It probably, yes.
Okay, it's under restricted revenue and then development, recreational fees.
Yep.
Okay, there's a different number I have on that page number 8, line 475, but we can worry about that later.
Yeah, some of those numbers do get out of sync between closeouts and budgets.
Just real quick, as a side note, the town will not be collecting any more reforestation fees because there was change in the state law.
Good to know. Johnny's definitely the reforestation guy. He knows all the stuff about it.
Okay.
Sewer connection fees, there's only less than $20,000 in there. That was part of the 2015 allocation plan, which I know we're going to be talking about at some time in the future. And what it was in the plan, this connection fee is required, and it's in lieu of an impact fee, but it's the same cost as the impact fee, which is about $13,000. All of this goes to repairing I&I, or even going to the debt service for the I&I loan that's in place right now. But that was a commissioner decision to make that a restricted fund in its own also.
Now, is that per the sewer connection fee? Is that for every new home built and connected to the sewer?
Every new home that is outside of the impact fee schedule. So the impact fee schedule, there was 409 homes in 2001 that were on an allocation list that everybody had to bid for to get into. Winchester Homes gave $1 million in a well. Brightwell Crossing gave a well. Parkland and a fund about $240,000, I believe, for I&I repairs. Every developer had to bring in a well, so they were ranked on what they were giving the town at the time, and that's how they came up with the list and the plan of how it was going to be allocated. And so the implementation of that is these impact fees, and now they're at $13,000. But everything outside of it, like you see the Harts properties, and there's other properties out here that are now in the queue, maybe to go through the planning process, they are not part of the impact fee schedule. And that's a whole conversation in itself to get a good grasp on that one.
Did you happen to know what line item is the sewer connection fee?
I do not.
I'm following along in my budget book, and
it should be on that same restricted page. It just says the title should be sewer connection in that block.
Okay. Yeah, I am there, but I don't see that one. Okay, never mind. I don't want to hold things up.
Okay. And then development funds. These are some of the proffers that came in from the same allocation list and what the developers want to give. This money has been going towards paying off one of our debt service loans also. So the total on hand at the snapshot of June 30th, 2020 was $193,383 in that restricted fund account. Okay. So let's talk about impact fees for a second. In 2020, there were 17 single-family homes built, collected $216,000. And again, this has a legal binding on it that it has to be spent for exactly public facility was, this is the payback account actually. So we had to, we built a new town hall. There was a proportionate share that went into improving public facility for the new residents that were going to come into town. So with that, that money can be spent on just about what we want to, because it's a payback to the town, because the town paid tax dollars to build it to begin with. Parks, again, a lot of the park money goes back to developers because they have to develop the parks. And so it was part of the thing. They have to spend their money and then we just give them their money back. It sounds crazy, but that's how it's all set up.
Yeah.
Water system, exact same way. The wells are being brought online by Westerly Grove. The money will be paid back to them. Like well 11 wasn't on the impact fee schedule. That was for existing residents. Only a well that is going to support new development has a rational nexus to be spent. So that's how it works. Wastewater plant, same thing. The wastewater plant in 2000, it was expanded from 625,000 gallons per day to 750,000 gallons per day with the extra basin added on. And the cost of that is then the wastewater plant loan, which gets paid off, I believe, in 24. We can check on that. I think we're going to, any questions on that? Told you I'd get rolling here once I get started.
No question.
Okay. So here's the debt service page. And, you know, really for a town our size, we're doing very fine as far as debt service goes. The wastewater plant expansion project we just talked about, that's going to be paid off in 2024. It's fully funded through the impact fees. And there's probably going to be some monies left over at the end of that that we can go ahead and put into the I&I account because it's a rational nexus that is part of the capacity building. Westman I&I, pardon?
That wastewater treatment plant expansion, that's not a new expansion, that's an old expansion.
It's 20 years old. That's right.
That's 20 years old and we're paying it off now. And I guess it's a whole different discussion, but I think we need another expansion. Yeah, go ahead.
That's a whole other discussion for sure.
Yeah.
It's a big discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. So the Westman I&I, that's actually paid off now, but at the snapshot of June 30th, it was not. And you see how low these interest rates are. It's amazing. The state revolving loan, this was the highest one at 2%. I would imagine they're down very low right now if there was consideration taken out to do a project if it was needed. So the Westerly I&I is going to be the only single loan that we're going to have going forward here very shortly. And that's good. So the cash balance at the end of the year was nearly $5 million. But as you can see from everything we've been talking about, these monies are really tied up in different places. It's not just $5 million that's out there. You have unrestricted funds of $1.375 million. 750, 780, that's the target, 70% of the revenue for that budgeted year. So there's some excess funding right there that we can talk about as we put the budget together next time, how you want to allocate it. If you don't want to allocate it, it doesn't matter. It's making money in the investment fund. Accumulated CIP, again, we thought this is the general fund. Lots of projects in there we're building money for through the out year, 1.175 million there. Water and wastewater, so $127, that was just the change that was left over at the end of the year. Accumulated CIP, a lot of money being set up right now for a lot of projects going forward, being the painting the water tower, stuff at the wastewater plant, the wells coming online. So there's a lot of money accumulating in there and just holding in there earmarked for those projects that are in motion right now. And then we talked about the restricted funds and the impact fees. So in a nutshell, that's where the cash balances were at the end of the year, and the budget you have reflects that, the closeout. So now, any questions?
So what happens now, Wade? Do we vote to accept the closeout?
Exactly. You want to adopt the closeout. And that adopts the changes, and we talked about the extra revenue, the under expenses, the over expenses, everything we just talked about. Yep.
And the proposal you just made, this was because I'm looking at my copy, and this is I gotta find it. This is the audited version, right?
Not sure what you're looking at there.
Well, the one I got by email.
Okay. Yes. That Bobby had sent out as a second.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So someone smarter than me has looked it over then. Yes, everybody.
It's a collaborative effort between Bobby, the accountant, the auditors, and myself.
Okay.
And never can a budget be done or a closeout be done without everybody being involved. It can't be done in a vacuum whatsoever because there's too many things could happen.
Okay.
Anybody have any other questions for Wade or comments?
So I'm going
Are you going to make a
share.
presentation on the fiscal year 21 budget, Wade?
Well, it'll be a 21 closeout, but we're going to do the 22 budget first. So that's what we're putting together right now, the 22 budget, and bringing up to speed all the year-to-date totals and things like that.
No, I'm a bit lost now. So we're looking at the fiscal year 20 closeout.
Which closed in June 30 of 2020. That started FY21. So we're in FY21, which
Right
ends
now.
June 30 of 21.
Yeah.
So we have to adopt FY22 in mid-May.
Not,
Okay.
not adopt, we just have to adopt the tax rate? or
We'll
we
leave
have to
the tax rate, but typically we do them together. But so, yeah,
Right.
if you guys want to change that, that's fine. But it's just hold the public hearing. It all works out, in the same manner.
Okay, I know I was a year off. Sorry. Okay, I'm good now.
So Jeff, we're a year off or close to it, but we're playing catch up right now. And Wade and the team have done a job of bringing this back into where it needs to be. And we're going to do probably 3 things at once, which is the closeout, the next budget draft, and then the closeout of 2021 here before too long. He'll start working on that once we close it.
Yeah.
Hopefully Wade will.
Yeah.
If I'm still here, I'll do what I can to help.
That's what I said. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you again, Wade.
Yeah.
It was our biggest and most important thing you could possibly do for us. And I know we're going to task you with some other things as well, but this is so important to get this thing back aligned and move in the right direction. So thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah.
You're the only one that could have done it, so I appreciate it.
Okay. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You're still there.
Are you still? And then I have another announcement to make. Yes, another company has stepped up and pledged $500.
Holy
and
moly.
it's our good friends at Clark Azar with John Strong, and his company has pledged $500. So I don't know if it's shaming or wanting to help, but I really appreciate it, John. That's great. And so now we're up to $2,000 in private pledges. Let's see if we can get 2 more pledges tonight, at least, before we close this off. And I call on the Jamesons. I call on the Jamesons if they're watching. I call on some of the people that are making money in Poolsville to put that money forward. So anyway, John, thanks a lot, and tell your owners that we really appreciate it.
Jim, I take it that you're still matching?
$500 at a pop. $500 at a pop. It's my 500 is getting matched every which way. Ed, what's the name of your company anyway? I'm happy to get the ball rolling.
I'm not making money off of Poolsville.
Oh. All right.
Thanks, John. Thanks, John, for that pledge. That's really awesome.
But I will contribute.
All right, good. Thank you. I'm writing that down.
So I think our staff needs a motion. Somebody make a motion if we're going to move forward with this.
This is Jeff. So I make a motion. We approve the fiscal year 2020 closeout as was just presented by Wade.
Great. Thank you. Do we have a second?
A second.
I will second it too. Whoever wants to.
All right. We had a second and a third. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks for your work on that, Wade.
Yeah, thanks, Wade.
Next, we're on to water sewer easements, parcel 229 Fisher Avenue. I think this is this you, John?
Yes. So in the past, the commissioners, it was done administratively. There's always a series of easements for stormwater management, or in this case, water sewer lines that go across public pieces of property. So you all should have a packet that looks, and this isn't playing very well. There we go. looks similar to this, the back of it, if you look at it. There's three
Yes.
pieces of property. The piece of property that is next to Jim Brown's property, in fact, and then goes up towards from Westerly Avenue on the opposite side of the road towards Loon Street. There's that piece of property, this particular one, get it right, if I can get it right, there we go. This particular one right here is not served by water or sewer at the present time. So we're going to go ahead and construct a easement along this line up to the existing manhole. And also this section, these two lots now will have sewer capacity, sewer availability to be tied into. One's on septic at the present time, this one right here. And then it ties into, we're going to set a gravity line here, not us, the developer is going to set a gravity line here. There's one house that is going to be constructed in here. So what I need is basically two things has to happen. One, we accept it as a placement for the sewer line, which will be a pressure sewer line and also a gravity line. And then the other is the Maryland State Highway has to agree to have that easement in place because it'll work right alongside the roadway in that area. So right now we're asking, or the developer is asking, so that he can build that lot, which is already a dedicated lot and won't have any other additional houses at this point placed on it. But they don't have sewer. We need sewer because the town also has in their code, they don't allow septic fields. This also makes for the Guilford parcel the ability to tie into the sewer system, which currently is not served by sewer. Water will come across the state highway that'll serve the Krishna property. This is another, not the same Krishnas that are on the other side. It's another Krishna family. So are there any questions?
John, I have a question for you too. So as it stands right now, despite our own town guideline, there are a couple of properties there along Fisher Avenue that are operating on septic, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And would we be forcing them to tie in at this point, or since we're making it available, that now it can be tied in?
Wade, you're probably better at answering that one than I am.
No, in the code, it does establish a time limit for someone to connect to the infrastructure once it's in place in front of their house.
Right.
I believe it's 6 months. I've looked at it for a while.
I think you're
for
correct.
sure. We've worked with them, but that's exactly it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. We've worked with people in the past because in essence, we're putting they have an established non-cost, most likely, that now there's going to be a cost.
Right. But it's a cost that it's going to be for sure that it's going to work and it's going to, be there for them. We're going to have to replace a septic. It's $30,000. So.
Right.
Yeah. Gotcha. And then will that septic line have the capacity to create room for expansion on this property that we're doing it for?
It would have the ability, if allocation is granted for the subdivision of that property, it would give them the ability to do it. But that's an allocation issue. But it's just a pressure sewer line that's going to be placed down to the parcel that is that has the existing
manhole,
right, which is the AR Loon property. It sits at the far end of that property. We're going to go ahead and install a gravity line across the AR Loon property. That'll be an 8-inch gravity line that'll go there to tie into the existing manhole.
You guys, just for clarification purposes, I am going to be abstaining on this one just because my property does neighbor this property, and I did sell him that property, but I do want to make sure I didn't sell it from him. I represent him as a buyer's agent. So I am going to be staying out of the vote on this, but I do want to ask the questions for clarity purposes. So, and thank you for answering them so far. Thank you.
Mr. Strong, is there an alternative?
No, we looked at it several different ways of running it. The other way would be to go down Westerly Avenue, but there's a lot of conflicts going down to that line, because if you envision Westerly Avenue, there's a dip there, and there's also, where that dip is, there's a storm drain that runs underneath that serves as a drainage easement. It's an extremely large storm drain pipe that runs underneath Westerly Avenue, and then discharges into the creek that then runs down towards the Catholic Church. So that alignment created all kinds of problems. This is a very good alternative for the town for maintenance purposes and also installation.
Yeah, I guess my only clarification is if somehow we voted no on this, that property would be basically a deserted island.
Jay, you want to weigh in on that? Not hearing anything.
Buddy, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Gotcha now.
The standard is if you transfer a property among private people, you don't need the consent of the buyer. You notice that the sellers only ever sign the deed. But when you transfer something to a government, the government has to sign the deed to say they're accepting it. So we just don't get people dumping property to us. So that's why this is happening. It's a routine type of thing. As far as alternatives go, if we said we're not going to do it, then we would be forcing them to work among themselves to create like a homeowners association type of situation where another entity owns the land and holds it among all of them. And that's not typical in this type of situation because there's only a few lots, but it could be a situation, you know, with a larger lot. So you got the logic there.
Yeah, thank you very much, Jay. You want someone to make a motion, Mr. Strong?
Yes, if you would, please.
Okay, so I'm going to make a motion to adopt the presentation that was sent out by email and that Mr. Strong just presented.
Give a second. I'll second it. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? So it passes 4-0 with Jim abstaining. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, John, for that.
Yeah, good presentation. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
Next, we have number 3 in new business, resolution on municipal tax duplication. And this was a vote that the Montgomery County chapter of MML took to create a resolution on fair municipal tax duplication. This has been an ongoing issue for some time. And I actually asked the chapter if they already took the vote and it passed. I asked the chapter leaders if they were going to add the names of each town and city to the letter, and they said that that wasn't necessarily the plan. It was just going to be signed by the president. So I think it's already kind of a done deal, but Jeff had asked if we could at least, I guess, retroactively vote amongst ourselves to support it, which seemed like the right thing to do.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I attended the, like you mentioned, the Montgomery County chapter of the Maryland Municipal League, and they had a Zoom meeting on, I think it was on March the 25th. And the only item on the agenda was to review the resolution on the municipal tax duplication. And I'm sure everybody knows, except for me at the moment. Well, I mean, 2 weeks ago, but now I do. tax duplication has to do, and I just make one quick example, where people in Poolsville pay a tax to Montgomery County, and I'll just make one example of many, for parks. And we all know on this board here that Poolsville has its own parks, and Poolsville has its own tax. So the people are basically paying twice for a service that they're receiving once, and they're paying it to Montgomery County when actually it's Poolsville that's delivering the service. And I'm talking again about the parks. So there's this thing called, there's this idea that they're being taxed twice and you're receiving the service once. So this gives rise to this concept of tax. Well, it's not a concept; it's a real thing. Tax duplication, and the idea is that Montgomery County is supposed to, the Montgomery County Council is supposed to reimburse municipalities like Poolsville. Poolsville is one of 19 municipalities, I think, in Montgomery County. They're supposed to reimburse the municipalities for this tax duplication. However, I believe that I might be a little bit wrong on this figure, but I believe instead of giving 100% of the reimbursement to the municipalities, they're giving 40% of the reimbursement to the municipalities. And of course, they have all sorts of logic on why they're doing that. But anyway, so and this has been going on long before I arrived on the scene. And so one of the persons that I know is very knowledgeable on this topic is Jerry Kibalowski. So I took the opportunity to, he and I had a conversation about it, and he's of course very adamant that the municipality should receive 100% of the tax duplication back as a refund. But of course that probably won't happen. And anyway, the Maryland Municipal League, the Montgomery County chapter of the MML, drafted a resolution. It's like this long with whereas and all sorts of terminology to request, but the request was more worded as a demand, and to increase the amount of money that comes back to the municipalities for their tax duplication. So I think there is hope here. I guess it's something of a qualified hope that the Montgomery County Council will listen to the municipalities and take some action along with the Montgomery County executive. So when I was on the meeting, myself and a couple of others made some minor suggestions in terms of wording and whatnot. So I think it was a very productive meeting. I was glad that I attended, and I learned a lot from various people. Also learned a lot from Jerry. So thanks, Jerry, for watching. And we did support it. We did support the resolution. So it did pass at that March 25th meeting, and I guess it was sent on to the Montgomery County Council, and a copy was sent to all the municipalities, which we received. And then on that March 25th meeting, each municipality that was present, and even those that weren't, were encouraged to kind of redraft the wording and send a letter to the Montgomery County Council, with the Poolsville commissioners as the signature. So anyway, that's what it was all about. Happy to answer any questions if there are any. Was I on mute?
Thanks, Jeff. We heard you. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Well, do you want to go ahead and make the motion to support the resolution?
Oh, sure. Yeah, I'll be happy to. Yeah. So I make a motion that we support the chapter resolution on the municipal tax duplication that was drafted on March 25th. I think there were we made a couple of amendments, but then all that was wrapped up and sent to probably to everybody. Carrie, I guess everybody got it. So yeah, I make a motion that we support this resolution on municipal tax duplication, that we even send a letter, with our own signatures at the bottom to the Montgomery County Council.
Great, thank you. Anyone likes a second?
I'll second this motion.
We have a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Who opposed?
So Jeff,
I'm
you have now
not
taken over the
disputing you. I'm
mantle
just curious.
You're taking over the mantle of tax duplication now?
That's too heavy for my shoulder.
No, it's not, sir. You are the right guy for the job.
Oh, did you oppose the vote? But you didn't.
No, I was actually in favor of it.
No, that was 5-0. Yeah.
It was a slow reaction on the Zoom.
Oh,
So
yeah. I love it. Slow reaction. No,
The delayed effect.
so it sounds like we're going to put Jeff in the weight room to strengthen his shoulders. We will spot him as he grows stronger shoulders.
Well,
congratulations, Jeff.
Good news, Ed.
Yeah,
we were having a meeting this morning, and I was successful at getting the stitches out today.
Oh, good. Yeah.
All right, good, Ed. Good job.
Yeah, but I didn't take out his stitches. We had an education session to learn some.
Yeah, I might get a few more stitches after this meeting, but yeah.
All right, sounds like we're on a roll. Carrie, what's next?
All right, let's head over to our town manager description. Who wants to take the lead on that?
Jeff, why don't I say? I'll share something, then I'll turn it over to Jeff.
Yes, please. Okay.
And so had a chance to spend some time with Martin. Had a chance to spend some time with Martin and Wade, just to look at what would be some things to have in the description for a town manager, and also had a chance to get some feedback from the committee that I sit on with Sustainable Poolsville. And so Jeff has all that information, and he has included that in the documents. And then Jeff, I'm gonna turn it over to you to give us a summary update on what we have.
Okay, well, I'm not going to. Oh, wrong. I picked up the wrong piece of paper. Sorry, I got all my notes by the side here. So, hey Wade, this is it. Can you see? Yeah. So you got all this by email, and I know that you and Ed spoke, and I incorporated. I hope I incorporated your thoughts properly. So hopefully you had a chance to read this and see the green highlights. And I do know that you were quite keen about the Poolsville town codes, because I got that Ed forwarded your information to me. And the Poolsville town codes is 181 pages. So I didn't copy and paste 181 pages into this. I thought that might be a little, so I did the next best technological best thing, and I added a link in here so that the person reading this can click on that and they can go read the 186 pages, which are all very important pages, but just a little bit too much. So anyway, what this document says, the first page and a half is really an overview on Poolsville, because I kind of thought that this document would end up in the hands, well, we want it to end up in the hands of the candidates who might be interested in the Poolsville town manager position. So of course, if they're not, nearby, they're not from Rockville, or who knows where they might be from, a nationwide search, they might have never heard of Poolsville, and that's, perfectly fine. So I thought what we would do is provide an overview of Poolsville, just to give the reader, just to give the candidate some little idea about what the kind of the character of the community is all about. So that's really like a page and a half. And then on the second half of page 2, that's where really the town manager description begins. And rather than having an endless list of individual bullet points, I organized it into various categories. And I'm not going to obviously read this because it's too long, but I gave an idea here of the town manager overview, examples of duty, executive functions, strategic planning, establishing an outsourced HR function. There's lots of little details underneath each one of these categories. Public relations officer, employee relations, operational requirements, and that's a huge topic just by itself. Budget responsibilities, and we know that Wade just did a great job on the 20 wrap up, so we need someone who's equally competent on going forward. And then Jim Brown had provided me with a number of items that had to do with kind of day-to-day operations, daily duties, what they do on a weekly basis, what they might do on a monthly basis, on a quarterly basis, biannual, and then annual things, which are equally important. So, and I kind of hope that everybody on this call has had an opportunity to go over this in some level of detail. I don't expect everybody to read every single bullet point, but yeah, so that's what we came up with. I kind of took the bulk of it on myself, as I said I would do at the last meeting. And then Ed and Wade were kind enough to, and Jim were kind enough to send me their inputs, what I then merged into the main document. So,
hey, Jeff, I want to also add that Martin, yeah. he was part of that collaboration.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I didn't mean to leave anybody out. Yeah, thanks, Ed. Yeah. So that's where it stands. I put some nice little pictures on it. So again, if someone outside who's never heard of Poolsville might just get a little bit of a flavor of what the community character is all about. Because I think that's very, very important. And maybe we, kind of learned that. And we can see, and we get so many compliments on Wade because Wade understands the character of the community. And I'm not just Wade, all the town employees, but Wade is, kind of more of a recent example, understands the character of the community. And that's what we really want. We want someone that is kind to our residents, right? We really want that kind of empathy with our residents. And when they have an issue with whatever it might be, something need a permit for this or that, or just whatever, we want someone that understands what they're asking for. But the answer might not always be yes, but we at least want someone to, deliver. If the answer is no, we want someone to deliver the no with an explanation of why it's no, and do it kindly. So it's kind of my spiel on the town manager description. And I'm very happy to take any other inputs or modifications or deletions, because I don't know if this is too short or too long. When I read it, it seems like, oh, I wouldn't bother with this. It's just way too many bullet points. But like I say, I kind of offered to craft the document, and if in any way someone has wants to make it shorter or longer or crisscross, I'm happy to do it. End of Jeff's story.
Yeah, Ed, Jeff. So first of all, and to everybody that played a role in crafting this together, it's great. And it's something to me that I think is handoff already to however we decide to do a search. I think that's a document that can just be put out there as is. I mean, if anyone wants to quibble about, a couple individual lines or anything like that, that's up to you guys. But I think that if you're a candidate for this position, I'd want as much background as possible as I can get my hands on. And of course, I'm going to want to talk to the guy that did the job. But at the same time, I think this gives it a really good overview. And, if you're going to get a job that's making $100,000 a year more, I don't care if it's 8 pages of description. I'd pay attention to it and try to figure out how I can fit that job. So I like what you've done. It's a good thing. And it tells about Poolsville, and well done.
Thank you, Jim. Yep.
Yeah, thanks for all your work on that, Jeff, and everybody. Mm-hmm. And I believe, Jay, you were tasked with coming back to us with some agencies that maybe solicit.
I did. So you guys gave me a task to find what they call a headhunter. And I talked, and then you further refined the task of, is there anybody that has experience in Maryland? Like, who else has been used in Maryland? So I did some interviews with the staff at the MML because they were easy enough to find who has done what. And there's 3 groups that we can narrow it down to that have a Maryland connection. I had sent you a while back an entire list of places that do this. So there was probably a dozen or more. But the ones on that list narrowed down are the following: the Singer Group. The Singer Group is out of Reisterstown, so that's in Baltimore County, Maryland. Paula Singer is the owner of that group and has a team that does that. So she is one that is local, and it's a small type firm. The Mercer Group.
They're a talent recruiter, or otherwise known as a headhunter?
Yes. Mm-hmm. All of these are talent recruiters. They do other things, but these are the people that we're focusing on are actually the recruiters part of the thing, because that's what you told me to do. So the Singer Group is that one. The other group that I dealt with is a Mercer Group. You've already dealt with them. They're the ones who did the recruiting for the last town manager. We should have their product that they prepared for us. So if we dug that out, I'm sure that Bobby has it in a file. You could always compare what they did, as far as, I don't think they did job descriptions, but I think they did other things, meaning the package and everything that they would have to give to people is probably something we could use. So the Mercer Group, and their contact is the guy that we used before, David Deutsch, the former manager of Bowie. And then the last group is the Novak Group. The Novak Group, they're based in Cincinnati, Ohio. So they're not local, but the only local connection, that the reason why they were recommended was Catherine Tuck Parrish, who used to be the deputy city manager of Rockville, is one of their principals, and she is the principal that is in charge of the headhunting. So you would be dealing with a Maryland person who used to work in Rockville for that. she may still live here and it may be remote. I don't know the details. So those were the top three that had Maryland connections, that had some basic endorsement, let's say, of the Maryland Municipal League. I left messages for all of them saying this is what we were interested in. We have a town manager position that you guys are getting ready to do the search. And it became obvious as I started working with them that I don't have the information to give them. So I stopped dealing with them and told them we'll be in touch. They want to know when, they want to know how much you're paying. They want to know all the things that would make them do their job. And at this point, I'd be making it up. So I just said, I got you narrowed down. I have the contact information, and then we can go from there. What's going to necessarily be happening is when they reach out again, when I tell them, hey, it's time to reach out, they're going to want to talk to someone. And that someone can be me, but it'd be awkward to be me because I don't know the parameters. So it might be someone as a group of you, might be all of you, but it's going to need to be a core group of people that are going to be the one tasking these people, because it's like anything else. If you don't task them with the right project, then give them the right tools, you're not going to come up with the right solution. And so that's what was my task. The last thing that I came up after I finished this task and put this all together was, I think that, and I'm sure you realize this, and I'm sure the team that worked on the job description realizes this, that there is an amount of effort that you all are going to be putting forward no matter what. And that's not an insignificant effort. This isn't where you hire somebody and take care of it like you do when we say, John, take care of the easements, and he goes and does it. This is going to be a hands-on effort for you all. And I think you need to be prepared for that. I mean, and I'm sure you realize that, but I thought it needed to be said. So that's it. I could put all this information in a little email to you, but I figured you don't need it at this point in time. So it's done whenever you're ready for it.
Well, I got to ask maybe an unobvious question, or maybe it is an obvious question. Have we as a group decided to use a search firm? Or
no, I don't.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, just so you know what my task was, I didn't commit to anything. I just said there was a vacancy and you were shopping around for a possible option for a search firm, right, so that you could at least say what that is. And of course, the question that you didn't hear me mention is money. It depends. Nobody's going to quote a fee to me based on the unknowns that I couldn't answer. So you kind of know that the standard is a percentage usually in their mind of what the first year's salary would be. Right. And I think it's usually 20% or so. So, I mean, you're talking in the neighborhood of 20 grand plus expenses ish. Probably.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Hey, can I ask a question of Wade?
Yeah.
Hey, Wade, I don't remember what year that you came on as a town manager. And how did you find the position? How did you learn about Poolsville? Like, you didn't live in Poolsville at the time, did you?
No, I did. I did live in Poolsville. Moved here in
Poolsville.
Yes, I started in '93. I started working for Poolsville.
Yeah, that's right. Okay. Oh yeah. So I was hoping. No, never mind. I got a little screwed up. I thought maybe you were a person that we didn't know before that, and then you were hired as town manager, but you were already an employee. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Wade.
We did have a number of applications. Wade was not just in, this predates me too, but I know for a fact we definitely had quite a few applications that came through. And Wade just happened to be the best one of the bunch, I'm not saying we went out on a limb to get them, right? But you didn't meet every single qualification, as I remember back in the day.
Correct.
And but the town saw everything they needed to see in them, which was great. And anyway, I think as I remember, they got flooded with applications, like 40 or 50 applications back in the day.
Yeah, I did some research into what you did, just so that so you get an outside, and I don't know every specific, but you advertised in the newspapers that were in the region, so in the big newspapers, but you're also got to MML, which was statewide, and then you went to the National League of Cities. You were a member then, so I don't know how that would work now, but it probably would still work. And you went to ICMA, which is the International City Counter Manager Association. So people who are managers are members of that professional group. They get their little notices of job openings, and that's kind of like how you covered the waterfront. And it didn't cost a lot of time and money because you said, well, we're focusing on that. The goal for that time, because I believe you got the manager before Wade was Jim Alsobrook. And I think they did the same kind of process for Jim Alsobrook, because the thought was, we don't want to hire a manager from the private sector that we have to teach government to. They wanted a government person like Wade that understood the nuts and bolts of government that we could get to do managing, if that makes any sense. So that's what you did in the past, but you've only done it at least twice. That's I know of.
And just as a side note, Jim Alsobrook, he was a base manager when he was in the Air Force.
Oh, military background.
Yeah. So okay. he knew how to run a facility.
Right. So, well, are we talking about this now? Is this a decision that we're going to make, whether to go with a talent recruiter or to, DIY it through ICMA and MML? And well, I know even LinkedIn, I mean, some technologies exist now that perhaps didn't exist at that moment. Yeah. Anybody?
What are our next steps?
Well, kind of the way I see it, other people are going to help you to have their own opinion about it, is to decide if we're going to go with a headhunter or not with a headhunter, and then write something that we can get out into the local newspapers and ICMA and MML and LinkedIn. And I think we'll turn up, I fully expect that we'll turn up a number of applicants, and then we have to, kind of look, everyone has to review the applications, and including the town staff, because we heard from Joy that, we want the town staff to be involved. And I think it's an excellent suggestion. And so I would say this is Jeff's opinion, right? So we go that route.
Yeah, Jay, is it possible that Jay and Wade, do we have the bandwidth at Town Hall right now, between Wade as a consultant, Bobby doing everything that she's doing? Do we have the ability to get in front of and into those publications? I mean, we still have to figure out how we would handle it internally, but I take it we have the bandwidth and the strength out there to go ahead and be able to reach out to all the places we want to reach out to find somebody. I don't think it's not that big a spectrum, is it?
No, it's not. I think you could do something like that. And I'm just looking at the last process. One of the problems that we encountered, if you go back for the people that were here, was Wade set it up, and Wade, correct me if I'm wrong, but Wade set it up as he was leaving, and we got the headhunter on board, but then Wade left and the town really didn't get its act together to do the things. So there was no staff involved, and it fell on the elected officials and Jerry to kind of oversee this, which became very cumbersome. And there was probably reasons the staff wasn't involved. First, you had a headhunter, but also they're hiring their new boss type of thing. And it was kind of awkward. Oh. I think that, that might not exist in this situation, because you would have, the staff can do clerical things, but Wade, and I don't know whether he's interested or not, but the idea would be he is an outsider who doesn't have a long-term interest in becoming a manager or working with the manager. It's an impartial type of thing. So no matter how you proceed on this, whether it's we take the lead or we take the back seat, I think you're going to be involving Wade in the town hall in the same kind of fashion.
Yeah, I definitely do not want town staff to take on this burden in addition to what we've already had to put on you guys to get us back to where we are right now. I think the commissioners have to be willing to embrace this and potentially set up a hierarchy and a hiring game plan to bring this together. I mean, it's going to be, my question was, can we get the word out through town staff or get advice on how to get the word out from town staff as our starting point? And then somehow we've got to develop our own structure as commissioners to be able to filter and weed out and set a game plan together. I mean,
simple answer is yes, we could do that.
I need to know that we can do that.
Yes, we could contact MML, NLC, and ICMA without any effort. That's an email, simple thing. So we can give you the delivery vehicle and the location. You got to come up with the payload.
Yeah, and I would, in my extra 2 cents, is Indeed, LinkedIn. There's a number of these, and yeah, and they have enormous networks, right? And I think most might not be completely free, but it's not 20% of first year salary, that kind of thing. So I personally think that we can handle this. I don't want to stick my neck out too far, but I would like to see us give this more of a personal touch. I guess that's my underlying feeling.
Yeah, you have to remember too, though, that you're going to have that when the Mercer Group did this for us, they gave us a big dossier. They called references. They called, they discussed the things of the people. They basically did a pre-interview, and we got all this really good intel.
Yeah.
And I just can't imagine like any of us are going to have time to like. I mean, the book is. I know you like to. Yeah. I mean, it's huge.
Yeah.
Hey, Martin, a quick question. Which you just held up, because I don't have that. Was that the intel on the potential applicants?
Yes.
That you just held up?
Yes.
So,
and this book is pretty thick, and it's like for like 5 people or 7 people or something like that. Yeah. I mean, it's a lot of good information.
Yeah.
I'm all about trying to save money, but I think that that kind of information is really important. I think that the neutrality, like, the fact that like nobody, like, every commissioner has some kind of like a agenda is a negative word, but like something that they're after. I think that us interviewing people, doing pre-interviews and doing research and all is not as objective as like having somebody else do it.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Everybody comes with their own hidden biases sometimes, and you don't always realize that they come out in certain ways. You don't even realize it.
And it's nice to have someone do the background check and do the education check. Like talk to the people. The whole bit. References. They check references. I mean that's a pretty important process. I see us, if we did it in house, it's like things could slip through. And we could have egg on our face, like, did anybody not check this person, whatever. So,
I know one of the things that we do with every single new member at the fire station is everybody goes through fingerprinting and a background check. So you cannot become a member unless you pass the background check. And
is there an HR department that does that, or does the chief do that?
Oh, it's me. I'm the membership committee.
That's for the volunteers.
I mean, I don't actually put their fingers on the ink, but they go to the police department for that. But I organize that with every single person.
But the fire department has an agreement with the police department to do the fingerprinting. I know
the police department is in charge of background check. Yeah, but and they know that they're a fire department applicant.
Right. Yeah, I know. So when we look at different organizations, like I know the school system, they contract out to go do the fingerprinting.
Oh, okay.
But I think when we come back and we look at the pros and cons of the 2 different pathways, and so as I was listening, I was just jotting down some different pathways. One pathway is the internal, the other pathway is the external partnership. And so if we did it internally, we would create the announcement. We'd have to screen the applicants to see who moves forward to be interviewed. And then you also have to screen those that you've interviewed to do the background checks, to look at what were the references, all those things. And then you have to create a contract to look at the terms of employment. And so there's that piece. What I see is if we go with an agency who partners with you in doing that, then that there's certain responsibilities that the agency takes over, where we give them what we want the announcement to say, then they would submit the announcement in all the different places where that prospect might see the announcement. Then they do all of this. They do the screening. They go out and submit candidates to us based on the screening that they go through. Then I would imagine we would do the interview piece, and then we would still do the contract, and then we would hire. I think what we have to take in consideration is the who is the who in terms of staff, and then what's the time frame that can be devoted to the task at hand. One might be expedited much faster than the other, and then the other piece would be, what's the quality going to be? Well, I think all the commissioners are highly capable. We're a highly capable team, but we also have to look at what's that commitment going to be to make sure that we don't drop the ball anywhere, and that all the dots are, all the T's are crossed and the I's are dotted. So I think if we're also talking about what's important to me is we need to establish a time frame, because we're only going to be lucky enough to have Wade, but for so long, right? And I'm sure, and I've enjoyed the time I've spent with you, Wade, to learn from you and to watch your commitment and compassion and passion. All right, but I know when a person retires, they retire, right? And so it's I don't want to take advantage of your kindness, all right? And I think we should have a reasonable time frame to bring someone on, and then we have to decide what are going to be the driving factors for making the decision whether we do it with a headhunter or without a headhunter. I think the other part of that is, what's the reputation of the headhunter in terms of the three organizations that you looked at. We still have to do our due diligence and say, well, what's been their track record? Do they bring forward candidates that do well? And maybe if we went that route, could we have a clause in a contract that if that person doesn't work out for the first year or the first year and a half, then there is a payback in terms of any fees, all right? And so there's things to look at. And I'm not pushing for one versus the other. I'm just trying to wrap my own head around the pros and cons. I'm curious to look at what did you like about the process last time? What didn't you like about? So that's before Jeff and I were here. What did you like? What didn't you like? What would you do differently? And if do you think you should have went without one last time? All right, what would have been different?
So is this sounding like an issue that we should table just at least for maybe one more meeting for everyone to?
Well, it is 9 o'clock.
To think more on, and we do have quite a few more things on our agenda as well.
It is 9 o'clock, but yeah, I'm not sure where to go with this.
I'm not sure where to go with this either, but I will caution the new commissioners, or not new anymore, but that weren't around for the process before, that in my personal opinion, you get into a habit of tabling things, which makes sense at the time, and 3 weeks turns into 6 weeks, turns into months, and then 6 months from now we still don't have a new town manager. I think we need to have some sort of that's why I was saying it a couple of meetings ago, we should have some kind of a timetable that we want to stick to, and like benchmarks where we want to be at certain times. I think that this is a process that we need to light a fire under ourselves. And I also want to remind you that and again, I'll preface this by saying, like, I don't even know anything about this person, and I really don't care one way or the other, but there is someone that everyone here thought was a good candidate that we could interview, before everybody else, and just see what we think of that, of that individual too. I mean, like, it seems like there's someone that's that good that's waiting in the wings.
Is there? Do you have a resume? Did we have the resume for that person? Did that get circulated already?
Yes. Yeah, Carrie sent it out. That was already probably 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago.
But on that piece, I would still want to at least cast a net to see who else is out there.
Oh yeah.
Right?
Yeah, no, I don't think, yeah. But anyway, I want to make 3 points. So what Martin said like a couple of times ago, I don't want to underestimate the iceberg, right? Because Martin and the other guys have been on this, and maybe Ed or not, maybe I'll just speak for myself. Maybe I'm just seeing the tip of it, and there's this whole whole huge amount of the iceberg that's below the surface, you know, in terms of checking references and back and all these kind of things that really can be very time consuming, you know, in terms of phone calls and just whatever. So I don't want to underestimate that. And Mark makes a very good point there. And so that's point number one. And then point number two is I want to kind of put my hat in the space where we try and do this our own. And the reason I want to try and do this on our own is because I really feel like we need to give this a personal touch and do the right thing. And I heard what Jim said about involving the town staff and all that, but I also heard resident input, and I'd like to hear what Wade says about this, because I think we have to have somebody that the town staff is comfortable with. That's the bottom line for me, right? And so anyway, that's point number two, and I forgot what point number three was. They'll come to me in a moment. Wayne, do you have any opinion about involving town staff?
Well, certainly as far as putting the ads out and doing all those things, town staff would be involved. As far as reviewing the applications and moving forward, that is kind of strange for employees to be trying to pick their own boss.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
Yeah.
But on a side note, and I said I don't want to prolong this either. There's no reason why we also couldn't put together a citizen group that could help us with this process as well.
Great idea.
They fill the gap. I'm just going to say up front, the last time it cost us $20-something thousand just to do the hiring process, and then there's potentially another $20-something thousand. And Ed, I like your idea about the guarantees, but basically the standard guarantee, maybe we would negotiate something different, is 6 months. That person stays on the job for 6 months. There is we don't get a do-over on something like that. And town managers take longer than 6 months to sometimes figure out whether they're the right fit or not. So
yeah.
Anyway, we can postpone this, but I'm with Martin. I think we have to, this has got to turn into a priority. We're actually taking a breather right now because of all that we've had to do over the last few months. And so I get that, but no time like the present on trying to move this thing forward either.
Yeah, no, I think we're taking a breather because Wade is here and he's kind of filling a big gap, which we appreciate, by the way, sir. But hearing what Martin said, I was at first saying, oh, it's 9 o'clock, let's get going here. But I think Martin and Jim are right. We need to get off we need to make a decision.
Maybe it's the sole agenda item, or we keep all the other agenda items to a minimum on the next go round. And in between, we all kind of coalesce a little bit and figure out what direction we think we may want to go. Everybody's got to get their thoughts together.
Yeah, now I want to be clear. What is it we are deciding? Are we deciding headhunter or no headhunter? Is that our decision? A or B?
That's one of the that seems like that's one of the early decisions we need to make. Yeah, like we're kind of at that crossroads now.
Yeah. Is there any chance we can make that decision now? Because if we make that decision now, we can let Jay loose on sharing the job description, and we can craft up whatever other documents that we need to craft up, and stuff can start being sent out to ICMA and MML and Jay's contacts there.
So
it feels to me.
Question real quick before we jump there. Is there a reason why we can't take the announcement that we have and start pushing out a job announcement and say, hey, we do have a vacancy. This is, if we can agree on the announcement and craft the announcement and push that out now. Is there any reason that can't be done, or any downside to doing that?
I think you're missing one piece, would be a schedule, because if you put the announcement out there, they're going to want to know, when do I have to apply by, and when things would happen. I don't think that's a big hurdle, but that's what you would read is there's a vacancy in Poolsville. You have until May 5th to get your resume in or something.
So
that's
with that being
one of the
said,
things you got to come over.
Right. Yeah. With that being said, like one of the first things I shared in my comments here was that as I look at my notes, the first thing I wrote down is we have to establish a time frame. Right? What is that time frame? And as I complimented Wade on his service to us, I also know that we're not going to have the luxury of having him for 6, 7, 8 months. We can't do that, take advantage of that. But I think we as a commissioner group need to say, okay, what's the ideal time frame? So today is April 5th. What would be a time frame that we really want to shoot for and begin to back map? Are we looking to get this process wrapped up within the next 4 weeks, the next 6 weeks, the next 8 weeks? All right, whatever the team feels is a good number to shoot for. Then that gives us a target. And then from there, what's going to be the process that we would use to hit the target?
Well, why don't we task our staff to recommend a timeline that we can adopt or amend?
We would have to take a look at these publications. When did the publications come out and how many times do you want it to run? Some of them only come out monthly. So it's a little investigative work because I don't know the answers off the top of my head, obviously.
Yeah.
So wait, that brings me to another point, and that is, what questions do we need to ask that we haven't asked ourselves? What question? And so it does take some time to really we got to do a little homework, a little research, right? And perhaps if there's a work group, because I would hate to rush into a decision tonight without having the right information to make a good decision. But I
also still feel like we're still putting the cart before the horse a little bit. I mean, we're not exactly sure that we want all of these components that, is quite comprehensive that Jeff and everyone came up with in this job description to just fall under one person. I saw a memo recently that Wade himself, our resident expert on town managers, also agrees that we need more staff. And so it seems to me like, what exactly is the rush? We want to take this moment to really get it right?
Yeah, I was telling somebody that if I was a really respected, really good town manager, and I was looking around and I saw that list of like things that we expect one town manager to do, I might be discouraged. I might say, what, like, this is kind of unrealistic and I'm really not interested in that gig. I don't know. I think we risk putting people off. If we're going to wait and do a staff assessment on the back end after we've hired somebody, I think we should put that in the job description that we're planning on getting extra help.
Or maybe it's even something that can be done simultaneously by an outside agency. I don't know what the answer is to that, but it's a major question that I have.
Yeah, it's a good question.
I guess I'll defer to Wade, not to put you on the spot, but it's just, now that you've been doing this, you're back in the saddle for a while, and you're looking at everything, and you get a chance to read over all those bullet points. What are your thoughts? If you were looking to do the work of a town manager, and you saw that announcement, because you got the experience over all of us here, all right? You've done it. What are your thoughts when you look at that?
I would not be intimidated by it. I've looked at several, I've looked at jobs down here, looking like, if I wanted to take one or not. And they're all written up very comprehensive. You look at it, it's almost overwhelming, like, oh my God, there's a lot of stuff here. But it is what it is. And I think that's pretty normal as far as that goes, for sure. Mm-hmm. So I don't think it's too much as far as it goes. But, one meeting I watched you guys were talking about getting an HR firm. An HR firm could come in and actually, set things up before you hire their manager in and have everything in place, as well as help the onboarding process and background checks and everything to go along with it. I mean, that they're set up to do exactly all that. So you could start that relationship now with an HR firm and have things in place.
That's very interesting. I had a conversation with a outsourced HR firm, and I think I sent all this information to everybody. I hope I did. And they do all the things that you just mentioned, Wade, and I hadn't really put the two dots connected. I hadn't really connected the two dots because I had kind of, well, if I did, I had it reversed. I thought that when we hired a town manager, that the town manager would, one of the first duties is to find and sign up with a outsourced HR company. But maybe what you suggest is a better sequence of events, because the HR people, I mean, they can do that, right? They establish policies, they do onboarding, they do employee training, and they have a whole myriad of on-the-job trainings, right? Sexual harassment, diversity, EEO, and many different things that they have kind of canned in terms of trainings for not only new employees, but maybe the whole staff needs that kind of training as well. So maybe that is a better idea. And I could easily, if everybody agreed, I don't want to go off and be a what's that horse called that does its own thing?
Lone Ranger.
Yeah, Lone Ranger. Yeah. So So, but if people agreed with that, I could easily arrange for these folks to come on a telephone call or a Zoom and explain what their services are. And it's not monumentally expensive. It's there's a couple $100 a month, so it's not zero. But I think you get a lot of benefit from this kind of stuff, and a lot of expertise with the people that actually have letters after their names that have qualifications that are greater than, certainly more than I do. So yeah, I think what you just said makes a lot of sense, but it does kind of turn things upside down.
I would not be opposed to that at all. If they can help, but that has to, if we decided to go that route, then we would probably would not be using the headhunters to do the job then. I can't imagine hiring an HR company and doing a headhunter.
Well, so then when you look at that, is that a strong HR company, if you have an HR consultant team, that might just be one of the services they provide, because now we become a client of the HR firm. And then they come in and they handle the recruitment, they can handle the training, and they partner up with us. And so instead of having a lump sum and paying a percentage of a first year salary, you might have a contract where a person come in and they do more than just the recruitment.
Yeah, they do a lot more. They do annual.
But all right. And so, I like what Carrie had said, though. And Carrie said, we got to get it right. I'm 100% behind Carrie with that. She said, let's, Carrie, correct me if I misquote you, but I think what I heard you say was, let's make sure we get it right. And so we don't rush into it. And then maybe that feedback from an outside person might say, well, hey, you know what? It's a lot, and maybe it can be shouldered by one, but here's something to take in consideration, where maybe you might have a person who has these duties, and you might find another person who's an assistant that handles these duties. And then you look at a salary piece. Well, this town manager might make one piece, and then you might have a salary for an assistant person that's a little smaller, and maybe you might have a person on staff as an assistant who specializes in certain things, and maybe even doing some of that grant writing as well. And so
sorry, Ed, I just
that's it. I mean, I'm just listening as we're trying to figure it out, because I think what I see are some big issues. I think we definitely got to make sure we get this town manager piece right. I agree with Jeff in terms of, we got to be, as commissioners, we got to be close to the process, and we have to be involved, like, with our hands on it. And then I think we have some other issues outside of hiring the new town manager that we have to stay on top of as well, in terms of what's going to happen with that wheelchair piece, what's going to happen with the water piece. And I think we got a great team in place right now where we can breathe. We're not choking. So I think this is a great time to breathe and to get it right. And we can stand behind our decisions with, well, this is why we made the decision that we've made, and this is the process that we used.
Yeah, I think we're I just think we're all feeling kind of shell shocked, right? We just went through this long process and it didn't work out. And so, you know, we're feeling a bit defeated and probably tired. And, you know, it seems to me like the easy path is to just throw up another job description and, you know, try to move forward that way. But I think, you know, now we have Wade here to help us hold down the fort. We have staff who know what they're doing, and let's utilize this moment to, you know, to unfortunately, you know, kind of take the harder path, which is really deciphering what do we need, and, you know, what is working great. Don't touch it. Don't change a thing. What do we need brand new systems for? You know, why not take this moment and do the hard work of that?
Well, with that being said, and I'll also, the point Jim just made in terms of if we go the HR consultant route, then why would we need to go and pursue the headhunter route when most HR people handle recruitment and screening and they handle the whole thing. All right. So we've had some great discussions. So I think it's, so we don't keep going around the wheel here. What might be what we need to do at our next meeting that could set us up for those actions? And what I'd like to propose is that we take Jeff up on his offer. If we block out some time, if a group could come in and just share with us what they do, it doesn't mean we're going with them, but at least that group coming in and saying, hey, well, this is what we do. And I'm sure there's others who do the same thing, but at least we could hear and have a dialogue to hear the kinds of things that they do, ask the questions that we might have. And it doesn't mean we're going with that group, but now we've increased our understanding of the type of services that type of company will provide. And then we use Jay's great skills. Now, Jay, find 3 to 5 in the area that we might want to go a little further with, and Wade, check them out, see what you think about these groups, and then is this a route that we go? And then this way, it's a little bit more methodical. It's definitely more hands-on, and we all get to own a piece of this process where we could come together and be comfortable with the decision that we make.
I'm good with that. I'm very easily set up for the next meeting, or if we want to have an extra meeting somewhere in between, so we don't, you know, wait forever on actually taking some, you know, concrete action steps. And so I can very easily set up a meeting with the outsourced HR company, and I assume they would be on Zoom or a telephone call, and you could all bombard them with questions. They can tell you what they do. And, you know, if it's something we're interested in, great. If it's not, we say, you know, thanks for the time. But I think we will learn something, and they can probably help us in some way with the hiring and the onboarding things that maybe we don't know about. Maybe they can do some of the stuff that's in the iceberg that Martin talked about, you know, below the surface and whatnot. I think we should decide on doing something, taking some action. And at this moment, I kind of think like doing something is better than doing nothing. Kicking the can down the road isn't kind of going to do it for me. My 2 cents on if we need to reorganize the staff, what I would like to have on board is a town manager, and have the town manager make a determination. You know, things are okay, but they could be better if we did it this way, and maybe we need an assistant person to take on some extra duties that, you know, because there's a million bullet points on the job description that maybe just might be unrealistic. But I would like to see the town manager be responsible for organizing the staff in a way that, you know, makes the greatest amount of productivity and hopefully happiness for the staff. I don't think I'm qualified to do that.
Jeff, let me throw this thought that just popped into my head.
Yeah.
If we could move in a swift, we move swiftly, but while we have Wade, and if we have an HR consultant that could come through, take a look at, you know, how we're doing things, and be able to Wade and that person or that representative really have some conversations, because we're very fortunate. Wade has that institutional knowledge. right? And being able to have a dialogue between a person who's trained in such a way to say, hey, well, hey, wait, here's some things that I'm seeing. And they have that dialogue, because nor you or I, that's not our area of expertise, but to have Wade and a patient who is an HR and say, here's some things that you might want to consider. This is great. This might be an upgrade. This might be a downgrade. Right. And but then I think being able to even have that dialogue with Wade, because Wade he cares about the staff. The staff knows that he cares about them, about them. We all know Wade loves and cares about Poolsville. And what's also is that there's not a hidden interest in trying to do this or that with somebody. And so I hear the part of you bring in a new manager and let them work with an HR person. But then what I'm thinking about, how do we make sure we set a new town manager up to be to enter into the best possible situation, so that when they come in, there's some things that have already been set up for them to have a great experience. But I think that one of the best ways to know that is if we have a tangible action item for our next meeting, is if we can get that company, Jeff, you're talking about, come in and we give them, carry whatever you think is reasonable, but maybe give them a 10-minute time to present what they what their service is, and perhaps to send us something in advance that we could read, so that we could begin to have some questions that we might want to ask before they present.
Sure.
I mean, so when they present, but we're not just like learning about them on the first hand.
Right.
Like if I was going after the business, then I would provide each of you, hey, this is what our organization does. And then I would come in and talk to you about what we do. And I would have a conversation about what are your needs. All right.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I can easily set that up.
Does that, Carrie, does that work? Does that work? And Jay, do we have to make a motion, or can we just have this conversation to plan for our next meeting? And it's great that we're doing this all as an open meeting.
I don't think you need a motion, as long as everybody's on board with the plan, and the minutes are going to reflect that you directed Jeff to take those steps, and that at the next meeting.
Jeff.
No, I'm happy to do that. Absolutely.
He volunteered.
Or should it be a staff person that takes that on?
Well, if it's one little tiny thing that offloads from the staff, I have no problem making the phone call and scheduling a time, and that's mutually agreeable with anybody.
If he has a contact already that could come in and just talk to you, like Ed said, you're not making any obligation to this person, but really you're going to find out what can an HR firm do, and from a scope perspective, be able to take a look at, okay, this is something that we can wrap our arms around. So
and when I talked to them the first time, they said, can we schedule a meeting with the commissioners? I said, no, hold the phone here. I hadn't talked to any commissioner about this, so I was just doing some investigating and this and that. But if and it sounds like commissioners are agreeable to have a conversation, so I'll get back to the person and say, okay, now we can schedule something.
Well, if we're gonna do that, and that sounds fine to me, but should we consider trying to get like maybe three different HR firms in here, so that we don't just pick, we're just basically not saying, okay, we're just going to pick one and that's going to be our HR firm. I imagine they're going to come in, they're going to pitch, and we're going to probably like what they have to offer, but we don't know what else we're looking at in other firms, and maybe we should pick three.
I totally agree. And
interview the three.
Yeah, choosing the choice of one is not much of a choice. Yeah,
absolutely. I would recommend, once you talk to somebody, it's going to open our eyes and enlighten us to what it is, to be able to develop a scope, to send out an RFP for an HR firm.
Oh,
would be the process I would see happening.
I agree with that.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, very good idea. Yeah.
So it sounds like we're moving in the right direction there. All right. And so President.
So Wade, who would send out an RFP? Would that be you all, like you and Bobby, or?
I usually do all the RFPs.
And you're okay with that?
I would work in consultation with Jay on it, depending on what we needed to have put in it.
Okay.
But the way I'm understanding this is that Jeff's going to reach out to his contact, bring them in for the next meeting to do like an educational presentation with they'll sell, but we're not buying, and they know
Correct.
that up front.
Yeah.
And then we take what they give to us, maybe figure out what we need to do, and then we put our RFP together at that point in time to go out and actually buy.
Great idea.
Right.
That's what I understand. Okay.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. And I'll try and find more than one. Yeah. I mean,
And I think we only need one to come in.
Because one is where we
we
want to go.
Yeah,
start.
one is good because because of our time.
yeah.
So if
Okay.
we have one, then we can develop the scope.
Yeah.
And it's and what I would encourage, just for those who are watching, who in the community who are watching this or watching the replay, those of you who want to email us just some of your thoughts, because I know we have some HR professionals in Poolsville who have some good ideas and might ask them to say, hey, because I know I've talked to some of them, say, hey, well, here's something you might want to think about. I'm like, oh, I'm glad you told me that, because I never would have saw it from that lens. And we have some really great folks here in Poolsville, very respected people who work in HR, that they can listen to that conversation and say, hey, you might want to ask this or you might want to ask that. So I like the energy that I'm seeing with everybody. I see us moving in the right direction. And so I'm just curious to see if we have our action item for next meeting, then what else do we have on the agenda for tonight?
I like that segue. What we have left in new business is fire department fireworks for July 4th.
Fire department fireworks. Okay. Can you read this? Okay. Well, you got the email that I sent. That was, when did I send that? Back on March the 14th. Wow. That was quite a long time ago. So you got the letter that I sent, and what I usually do now, okay, the two things are going to happen. First, I'm going to present, I'm going to read you the letter, and then someone, I hadn't really got this organized as well as I should have. So I hope someone will make a motion. I cannot vote, right? So I will not vote on this, kind of like Jim didn't vote on the other one. So yeah, so it's getting late, so I'll just proceed here. So dear Poolsville Commissioners, this letter has three main messages. First, to thank you. Second is the funding. And third is the potential cancellation or postponement of the 2021 fireworks event. So first, we'll go back to first. So first, the Upper Montgomery County Volunteer Fire Department extends its thanks for your continued support of the Poolsville traditional 4th of July family fireworks event. The Independence Day fireworks event continues to be a successful Poolsville tradition since its return in 2005. The family orientation of the fireworks event continues to resonate with the character of our community. We plan to continue the family-friendly and local charm personality of the event. The community event would not be possible without the financial support of the town of Poolsville and its commissioners. Second, the second purpose of this letter is to request that the commissioners of Poolsville continue their funding at the current budgeted level of $13,500. The $13,500 is already in the fiscal year 2021 budget. See line number 570. The $13,500 covers the cost of the fireworks display. For the purposes of advanced planning and the avoidance of surprises, UMC VFD, that's Upper Montgomery County Volunteer Fire Department, wishes to advise the commissioners that 2021 is the final year of a 3-year contract with the Zambelli Fireworks Company. UMC VFD intends to extend the contract for an additional 3 years. Third, the Zambelli Fireworks Company recently issued a revised COVID cancellation policy. Zambelli updated their cancellation policy due to the continued potential for the COVID-19 restrictions to impact displays during 2021. The revised COVID cancellation policy allows UMC VFD to cancel the event no less than 31 days prior, which would be the 3rd of June, to the event, which is going to be held on July the 4th, with no penalty. However, the 50% deposit of $6,625 is not returned. Rather, the deposit is rolled over to the 2022 event. Upper Montgomery plans to make the go or no-go decision to inform Zambelli no later than the 1st of June, 2021. UMC VFD will immediately notify the Poolsville commissioners of the decision. Please please feel free to contact me, that's me, with questions, and Upper Montgomery truly appreciates your support. Not in the letter, of course, is the decision, as much as we would like to think that it's made by the fire department, is really going to be made by Montgomery County. So whether or not Montgomery County permits loud or large outdoor gatherings is the ultimate decider, right? Of course we have to go along with whatever the decision is for the safety and well-being of all the residents, of course. And then the second page is the budget. It's the draft budget. You can, if you have a chance to look at it, you can just kind of see where all the numbers come from and how the things roll up. So with that said, I am looking for someone to raise their hand, and then I will step
Hey, Jeff,
back.
one quick question for you.
Yeah.
You say the firework company is gonna, if the 2021 fireworks are canceled, the deposit rolls over to the next year.
Exactly. Yeah.
Are they a pretty financially sound company? Like they're going to be around next year, you think?
Well, yeah, fair question. So Zambelli is actually the name of the fire company. It's called Zambelli International Fireworks Company, and they are truly an international fireworks company. And they're the largest provider of fireworks displays in the state of Maryland, and probably in the whole country. But in terms of the number of licenses or permits that they have in the state of Maryland, they are probably the biggest. Yeah, they're very likely the biggest in the world. Yeah, yeah. But thanks for asking. Very useful question. Sure.
Do anyone want to make a motion?
I make a motion. We approve the volunteer fire department's request for give me the amount again, Jeff. 10,000.
Yeah, it's in the budget, 13,500. It's in line 570. Oh, that was the one I looked at. I don't know, it might be a different line number in the new budget, but that's line 570. Parks and Recs, yeah.
Okay, so I make a motion. We approve the ask.
Second
the 2021 firework display.
I second the motion.
And Ed seconded. Thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining?
I'm abstaining. This is Jeff. Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Motion carries 4-0.
Excellent.
One abstaining. Thanks.
My pleasure. Thank you.
I have a question.
All right, we got through our agenda.
Hang on for 1 minute. So did we formalize the direction in terms of the HR company and what's our task is for the next meeting? I remember Ed was going somewhere and then he stopped, and I'm not sure we formalized it yet. What are we doing?
What Jay said,
that Commissioner Eck is going to get his contact. I'll make it sound nice, right? His contact for an HR company to come and make a presentation in some format at the next meeting. And after that, the commissioners are going to continue an RFP for an HR company. That's all you guys decided on.
And is that person's that HR company is going to attend our next meeting?
That was.
Well, I'm going to invite them.
We can line it up.
And that we're going to have some stuff in advance so that you would be prepared.
Yes, yes, definitely. And I would also say, is it going to be the next regular commissioner meeting, or are we going to have a special commissioner meeting so we can get things going maybe a little bit sooner?
You all are going to be asked to attend the meeting on the 14th for the Planning Commission already. So
okay,
I'll get to that in a couple seconds. So just know that you're already going to have another commitment when you start discussing this.
Yeah, yeah.
So we're looking at
then the next regular commissioner meeting is April the 19th.
And then, okay, thank you for that. And I'm on record. I do like this direction, and I'm not in favor of hiring another staffing company. I thought that was a huge waste of money and time last time. So we've got to figure out a better way. One more comment, you guys, if you don't mind. What is Wade? You are now preparing the FY22 budget.
Yes.
Okay, and then do we have a timeline established? I mean, this is April, May. It's coming up. I mean, we have to have a game plan for approving the tax rate, and none of us have seen a budget yet. No offense, I know you're working on it, but
yes.
How do we do that? How do we do this timeline-wise, guys?
So typically, what we would do was we pick a Saturday morning during April, and we have a work session, and we go through the budget and get everybody on board. Once you're on board, we make a public presentation the following meeting. You set public hearings and you move forward in that process.
Do we need to schedule those now too?
Yes, I would say so.
Well, I think maybe, wait, what do you, how close are we to being ready to say, hey, let's schedule a Saturday?
You'd have to give me at least a couple of weeks. I have a bare bones 22 budget right now. That's it. I still need to do projections for this fiscal year to find out, what income tax is going to be, what's the income revenue, highway revenue next year. So I don't have any of that information yet. So Bobby and I'll be working on that all this rest of this week, actually.
And do we know if there's going to be is there any sort of an extension in place from the state of Maryland in terms of setting our tax rate?
And that's all stuff that Bobby and I are working on right now. So
Okay.
I don't have those
Montgomery
answers
County
yet.
is still, it's Montgomery County is your holdup, not the state.
Okay.
And, you require it usually in May. And
Right.
so, I mean, that's where we are. Last order was May.
Right. Okay, that's good to know. Thank you. So I just want to make sure we stick within our timelines. This is all that we probably should have already been meeting. We should have had a work session.
Typically we'd be done. We would already have a public presentation. Yes.
Yes.
So maybe would it work, Wade, perhaps in a week's time to lay out some dates, a timeline for us to fit in these work sessions?
About by the end of the week, I sent an email out with some potential dates. I'll have more information, know where I'm going to be.
I mean, does that sound doable for you? And
I'll get it done.
All right. Thank you.
So Wade can put together a budget that would be, I'm sure, turnkey for us, but everybody still needs time to review it. And we also have there's going to be some funding priorities that all of us have to think about. And I'm going to mention one right now is I want to make sure that, especially after this last year, that town staff is rewarded for what's taken place over the course of the last year and a half. And I want to make sure, Wade, that whatever you and Carrie and whoever else is working on the budget, that we probably put something like a 5% increase in there for those guys and gals and everybody else that's on town staff. So just that's my 2 cents worth, since I know this is an accelerated time frame. We're putting this together now.
Well, I want to add my 2 cents also. And maybe this is not the right time to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway, because Jim just did. And and that is, I've had a number of conversations with the town staff and the folks that particularly carry the beeper. They have some kind of gizmo that they take home with them, and they're on call, and they really can't go anywhere, and they're 24 or whatever it is, 24 or 48 hours. They're kind of just stuck holding this phone or beeper or something, right? And they get zero pay for that. But they can't go out or do anything. And that, I don't think that, it doesn't sound entirely proper or fair. So I think I would like to see you put something in there for on-call time, right? And then everyone else they can kind of vote yes or no, up and down or whatever, or sideways. But I think that's only a fair thing to do.
Okay, I should really look at that and try to figure something out.
Thanks,
So Jeff, you're saying compensation for being on call.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Wade, do you want to just keep going with the rest of the town manager report?
Sure. So you have hydro flushing down here, April 5th to April 9th on the town's website. I don't know if they put it on Facebook or not, but there is a schedule of what hydrants will be flushed in what neighborhood. And we always put this notice out because when you flush the line, sometimes little line build up and stuff can be flushed out. And if you're washing white clothes, it can actually stain white clothes. We've really never had a case of it, but we've always put this notice out. So 24 hours, whatever, if you're looking on your street, if your street is scheduled on, Monday, don't do laundry for at least 24 hours, white laundry for at least 24 hours, and you'll be fine. And
that was definitely posted on Facebook also, to be careful about washing white clothes. Yeah, that was all there.
Yeah, some discoloration. It's just stuff from inside the pipe. It's not dangerous. You can drink it. It doesn't matter. Just flush it out like a bathtub spigot is the best way to flush out your own personal lines. So
okay. And wait, when is that taking place?
April 5th to April 9th. So the week of
There's a schedule for different neighborhoods.
Okay, the 5th through the 9th. Okay.
Yep. Let's see, appropriations for the FY22. That's the 3 requests for Senator Trone. And John, you said that they went out. You had a contact or something?
Yeah, they went out once. They went out twice. they Carrie got an email that said that they didn't know what it was, and it was to a different person this time. But I got them out this evening to to Andrew in Crone's office. As a separate note, I just want to mention this kind of late breaking news. We did receive the high school traffic study report for the high school, and a site plan is expected to come in on the 19th of April.
Oh, great news. Thanks for bringing that up, Johnny.
Sure, you're welcome.
And then let's see, the American Rescue Funds. And John, you probably know more about this than I do.
Yeah, the American Rescue Funds has several different things that the funds can be used for. But it's approximately $4.8 million that it's going to be coming through that fund. It's going to be administered by Montgomery County, and it's going to be done in 2 tranches. A 1 year, first year would be approximately $2.4 million. And then the following year, assuming all the paperwork is in order and correct, then the next $2.4 million will be coming out. The qualifications that originally came out were for funding to help fund not-for-profits that were affected by COVID and businesses that were affected by COVID. And how that all plays out, we're not real sure yet. But one of the interesting things, which was an add-on to the whole thing, is that money can also be used for water sewer projects. Not new construction, but fixing and doing things that are to aid there. Again, I said Montgomery County is administering that. So that Bobby had contacted Montgomery County, and they had discussed it. But at the present time, it's not known what the parameters and processes are going to be. And the county rep came back and said, as soon as I know, I will pass it on to you. But just in mentioning with David Trone's grant applications, in the conversation I had with Andrew this evening, they're not 100% sure how this is all going to work yet. So the paperwork is in. There may be more questions that come down the line for that. And as the representative said, and it's not a bad thing, they're kind of building the airplane while it's flying. So once they know how they're going to proceed, they'll let us all know. But he has my cell phone number now, so although I might be off for a couple days, I'm available.
Was it an Air Force reference?
Johnny, with that kind of money on the line, you got to make sure that you answer the phone.
I know it'll be stuck by my side.
I got one question. Jim, are you going to match it?
You know, if I had it, I would. But that's a different world. Thank you for asking.
If I had it, I would match half of it if I had it.
Thank you for that too. Yes, but it's big for us to boast that out there, right? Easy for us. Too funny.
Well, I want to get my 2 cents in and say, Mr. Strong, I know everybody, different people have different opinions about stuff, but this water, the wastewater treatment plant, the I&I, to me, that is top priority.
Hey, that's perfect for you.
It is perfect. I can jump in on the last item, which isn't on there. So,
all right.
Here's the story with the upcoming plan. April 14th is the next planning commission meeting. And so our team has met with the Chairman Bupp on the planning commission and discussed different issues, but he is on board with, we are going to turn that planning commission meeting into a work session, a joint work session. So we want you all to attend. The plan is that we are going to do that in person in the meeting chambers. Bobby has a plan for how that will go down. So it's all of you, the four of us.
That's great.
Wade will be coming, and the planning commission members. And we're going to figure out, it doesn't matter how, but we're figuring out how the public will be able to watch via camera live, just like they're doing now. So they won't need to come into the meeting hall. It'll be a work session, so we won't be taking public comment. It'll be our team giving you a presentation that will have various team members doing different parts, and then you all can ask. And we anticipate it will take every second of 2 hours to go through this. And that's our goal, is 7 to 9. And we will probably cut off different parameters, meaning if you start going down a path that really isn't central to this, we're going to just say that's for another day and note it and move on. The purpose of this meeting is to get to the bottom of the sewer capacity issue.
Oh,
So
perfect.
it's not going to be, and that is obviously water I mean, so that we're talking about. It will touch on the finances, but not be focused on that. It will touch on the projects, but not be focused on the specific projects to solve this. It'll touch on allocation, but again, not talk about how to do allocation. Everyone I'm mentioning is a discussion for another day. Each of these are subpoints. And the last one it'll touch on is impact fees and financing. So again, all that will just be glossed over, but the biggest thing is for us to talk to you about how the numbers are generated from the plant. We are going to assume you know nothing. So we are going to start with how the numbers are generated from the plant, how the reports are compiled, what the reports are used to do, and go from there. So it's really important that you all attend. The Planning Commission will be there. And what we hope to get out of that meeting is you all to say, we understand and are comfortable with the numbers, and that we will recommend that we go ahead and start doing our remediation projects, knowing that we're at the end of a budget cycle. We have some money that we can spend, and we'll talk about what that means, so that next budget cycle, we would be able to bid out the fixes and start the fixes. So that's our goal. If you have any questions, and all of the COVID stuff that will be followed, mask, social distancing, Bobby's got a plan for that. So the 14th,
I am
7 o'clock.
so glad to hear this, because I have been looking at this, and I just need a lot of education.
And this is,
I'm looking at this gentleman.
Right, Jeff, try to get as many questions answered as possible beforehand.
Well, this is probably an ongoing thing, because I know that Martin had asked at the last meeting to talk about water. And when we did our little walkthrough for the staff part, we just said it's just going to be too complicated. I know you're all there and it's easy and we're talking about it, but if we just deal with sewer first and then we'll deal with water later, you'll get the whole idea. So anyway, so Bobby wanted me to pass that on to you, and we'll see you on the 14th.
That's the 14th, Jay?
It's a Wednesday night, 14th, 7 o'clock. Right? I got the right date.
I will be there.
Right.
Jay and Wade, if you don't mind, please pass along to Bobby our sincere thanks for working so hard during this transition. And I know that she's taken on a lot, but having you guys in place and bringing what she always brings to the table, she's just doing an amazing job. And I truly am appreciative of it. I'm trying to do my best to leave her alone, because I know she needs all the space she can get. So thank you, and thank her.
We'll pass it on. She's doing an awesome job.
And while we're passing out thank yous and kudos, and I'm going to reserve the other 50%, 50 cents of my 2 cents, right? But while we're doing some kudos, one, I want to thank Wade. Want to thank you for diving in and doing this. And then Carrie, I want to thank you, because I know you've had to roll up your sleeves, dive in, and to continue to work with folks. And I watch the things that you send. I want to thank Jay for not making me jealous tonight, being somewhere that's totally awesome. And then Martin and Jim, I want to thank you guys all right, for your continued work with your just helping me to learn as I'm new at this being a commissioner. I think I was telling Jeff this morning, I said, Jeff, we have about 4 months in. It feels like it's longer. Someone said, well, you know, you really start knowing what you're supposed to be doing after about 6 months. I said, well, you know, Jeff and I have only been doing it for about 4 months. Jeff, I'm glad that you're taking the lion's share of the questions so I don't have to ask all of them. But and John, I want to thank you too for all the work that you've been doing. And so it's really great to just see all of us being able to start to gel a little bit more and continue to just do the best we can to serve the people here in Poolesville. So I'm excited to see where we go next. I'm looking forward to the meeting on the 14th and then the next one that we have on the 19th. So that's my 2 cents, 4 cents.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Was that also your way of making a motion to adjourn?
Oh, I was going to let Jim do that one.
Yes, I make my first motion of the night to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.
Thanks, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
All right, good.